All right, I guess we're gonna go live here. Oh, look at that. Looks like it's gonna work. Okay, everybody, welcome to Hash Church 3.0, episode 6. I'm going to send out the link. I'm gonna send out the links, and we're gonna go live. I'm so happy that it's gonna work. I can't even tell you all. I was nervous, I'll be honest. I was nervous. Just gonna invite the panel in. Here we go. There's that sent and that sent. I went early. I went live early today because last week, of course, we weren't able to go live. I was very nervous today going live. I thought, geez, maybe this is going to work. Maybe it's not going to work. I did have a bunch of people in the room yesterday before I went live. And I think, or not yesterday, but last week, I think that could have possibly had something to do with it. Zoom is very overwhelmed right now by every type of class and school and all sorts of business people doing conferences. So give me a chance to get everyone invited in here. It is a little bit early. And probably, I think the email I sent, I said, don't come in till 9. So I will let people know on the Facebook link, you can come in right now. There we go. Let's hope that works out well, and we'll get ourselves a little Hash Church episode 6 going on here. No real plan today, but should be a fun little chat. I always love getting together with the panel and talking. For those of you that noticed, someone figured out that the all-woman panel of Hash Church was missing from the channel. So yesterday, very quickly, I reached out to a gentleman from Russia, and he basically had let me know, yes, indeed, I do have some of your episodes of Hash Churches and Wake and Bakes and other shows. And I asked him if he had 147, and the next email back, he sent me a Dropbox link with the episode, which I uploaded yesterday. So for those of you that were missing the all-woman panel, it is back up and running. Johnny fucking B. Oh, I can't hear you, partner, but you're unmuted. So it might be something to do with your audio, but you're not muted. So you might have to pick a different thing and figure it out. But I know you're going to figure it out because you're Johnny fucking B.
I figured it out.
I hear you. I hear you.
Hear you too.
Dude.
Yeah, it is.
You're amazing. How you doing, brother?
Looking for some hash to smoke this morning. Found some Goldsberry Kush in a little bag in the back of the fridge. Okay,
So we're going through the fridge, eh?
We're going through the fridge,
So I found yesterday a bag of Harmony that I grew like the last time I grew, which how many years ago was that?
3.
No, way
4.
more, dude.
5.
It's crazy. So I sifted it. I just turned it into some nice sift there. So this pile in the middle is very melty. And yeah, let me see that. Oh yeah, that's not bad. That's I wasn't sure if it was going to do it, but you can see it's powder.
Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere. The
bottom one should, but that middle one is that's just powder. People always trip out when they see that it doesn't move. You can see I pushed my finger in there a tiny little bit. I'm so happy that we're live, John. I really am. Nice. It's not too bad. And it's just you and me in Hash Church today. I didn't invite anyone else. It's just Johnny B and Bubble Man doing a special Hash Church episode.
That's even better. So you know what? Let's get right into this and start smoking some hash. I can't find a lighter.
Oh, well, you're going to need to find a lighter. I'm going to turn on my Pelly nail and I'll go from there. No, for actual jokes, I did send out the link. I sent it out. Most of the people got it via email. And on that email link, I said, don't come in till 9 o'clock. So it's possible that
9 o'clock. So we should see Etienne any minute. But you know what? I clicked on the one before that, and it came up as a different Zoom Hash Church. So I saw you saw a new link because I was on the old link.
Yeah, well, like I said,
Mark.
There he is. How you doing, Mark?
Doesn't know yet.
Mr. Hampton.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Morning.
Well, it's Sunday morning at 9:01, and we managed to go live today. So I went live before I sent the link out, maybe thinking that the extra bandwidth that we would pull with multitude of videos might somehow not give us the access that I wanted. But I also I also thought, it is 12 o'clock on the East Coast. Maybe a lot of people are starting to go live right at noon. And so I just wanted to be
right. It's like pushing a bunch of people through the door, and once you get through the door, you're in. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. That was just a real bad feeling not being able to go live last week, and I know that the people in the chat room were definitely bummed out about it. Welcome, Farmer Tom.
How's it going, guys?
Dude, how about this? How about this? How
right.
about this? How about this?
Wow, right?
How about that?
Right?
That is your handiwork, dude.
I was so stoked to be a part of that operation, man.
Dude.
You know, it was really a gift to be able to go at it full force, pull out all the tricks, do it all, and make it happen. There was a great team down there in Williams, and it was an honor and a blessing to be a part of that operation, for sure.
Well, tell us a little bit about it. Give us some details. What kind of acreage? What kind of cultivars? How'd you link up with these guys? What did you end up doing to get it all? Like, it looked so healthy.
Yeah, it was really healthy. We used sour space candy from the Crawford brothers as far as genetics went. We also used from Humboldt seeds, we used the Bubba Kush, which was really fun to work with. And I think there were some T1s and some CBG. So those were the cultivars. It was in Williams, Oregon, right behind the not far away from the country store. If you've been to Williams, everybody knows where the hippie store is down there. And it was just right up behind there on this piece of property that had rose hips on it for the last 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And the guy sold the farm. Him and his girlfriend were going to travel the world. And yeah, this group picked it up down there. And, you know, they had a really great group of guys down there, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of, such a community, all, you know, striving for the right things. You know, Jim Matheson from the Herbivores was our neighbor, and Jim's been, well, he's the guy who really came up with Grape Ape back in the day. That's kind of his cultivar. He worked with Eddie Lepp and did all the cloning for Eddie Lepp down there, and Jim was our neighbor, and I've known Jim since mainland Mexico days down there in San Blas. We hooked up when back in the old days when, you know, I was barely in my 20s, and he was a little bit older, still playing music, totally into herb, and it was great to reconnect with him and the whole crew down there. So you know, we went high grade as possible. The guy had an unlimited checkbook, so we grew hemp just like high grade. That was our mission through the whole deal. And at the end, they came out with a really good crop. And, you know, the group of guys down there were pretty amazing to work with.
That's awesome.
Jackson County? Jackson County? Is that what county it is?
No, Josephine County.
Josephine County, okay.
Yeah, Williams, Oregon. It's where, you know, Willie's Wonder. I mean, it's like the heart of cannabis in Oregon, you know. It's where all the hippies, they kind of left when they started doing the flyovers in Humboldt. A bunch of them just said, the hell with this. Let's go find our next canyon. Let's go find our next hideaway. And,
you know, some never stopped.
What?
Some never stopped. They ended up in Canada.
Oh, yeah, they just kept going north, you know. I hear outside of Roseburg, between there and the coast, is where a bunch of them went since, you know, Williams got kind of overcrowded the last few years. But, you know, they've got the greatest climate there for growing. They've really grown a lot of really great vegetable seeds down there, and they do a lot of vegetable breeding down there. So it was amazing to, you know, to grow cannabis on this scale. We did, what was it? 23,000 plants in, I think, 30 acres. So wow. Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. I had a really, it was really nice to be able to pull out all the tricks and, you know, just let it rip on this project.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. I'm glad I could have the picture. We've been playing around with my Zoom chat lately. I'm not going live, but I'm sending it out to a bunch of friends at night, and we have these really great, it's kind of a connection of people like that I know in my life through Hash Church and other things, all linking up with one another, because sometimes I'm not in the room, but also just we're all just having fun and playing and smoking bowls and whatnot. But we figured out this virtual backdrop. over the course of the last few days, and your photo was one of the photos that I chose to put in the background there. So
I like it.
It was a great way to start a conversation. I love the idea of bringing people in, having specific photos, and every time I change the photo on my background, the conversation shifts to that. Oh, Sabo, San Francisco software guy, not messing around.
Hey, it took me a little while to figure out how to turn on my camera, but, as you can see, the background is quite futuristic.
Dude, straight up, bro. Like, I'm telling you.
That one's good.
You make me want to go to Hawaii. Let's just go to Hawaii real quick here. We're on the Big Island now.
I think I'm entering the fourth dimension. I may have taken some psilocybin mushrooms this morning, allegedly, but we will see.
It almost looks like Limitless. If you remember the movie Limitless, where he would eat that pill and it would make his brain like 1,000 times smarter. Did you ever? There was a TV show they made off of it too, but it was a Bradley Cooper movie, Limitless. If you guys haven't seen that, that's a psychedelic movie.
The best I could do is inside a Welker poster here.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's awesome. How you doing today, Sabo?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Let's see.
Hanging in there like the rest of you guys, but happy to be online with you guys too. It's I feel like everyone's become like a Zoom master. 2 weeks ago I wouldn't have known how to do these backgrounds, but now it's like the back of my hand.
Zoomer.
Yeah. Okay, Zoomer. Exactly. Good.
Somehow
Well
lost
put.
myself.
Scialdone. How you doing, Josh?
Feeling good. It's kind of like, if you look at everything like it's an opportunity, this whole thing has kind of turned out to a great opportunity to start the garden and get all the, things done on the property that we needed to.
So tell me for real how much that wallpaper becomes self-reflecting machine elves when you're tripping balls.
It's kind of a thing. Definitely. Especially if you get different lighting on it and everything.
It's kind of I never noticed it before. They look like little owls or little birds. Like that shit would come to life on the right little inhalation.
I guess that's our background today.
I'm just one of the heads today. Just one of the heads.
Heady heads. I like it.
Exactly. Oh, we better let Hemp Guy in. Hemp Guy's got some surprises for us today. We better let him. I keep forgetting I have to let people in. Sometimes if you're not getting let in, that's my bad. For whatever reason, I when this starts up, I have to give permission to enter the room, and that throws me for a little bit of a loop. Yes, LPD 710. That is 100% dry sifted resin. Oh, Mackie Chloe said he was listening to Terrence last night. I had an affinity for Terrence McKenna. I'm not sure if you guys got into him as hard as I did. It was probably around 1992, and a partner of mine was friends with this older gentleman. And this older gentleman, he was probably in his 60s, and we were like, not even 20 yet. He was growing really great cannabis, and he had these tapes from the Esalen Institute of Terrence McKenna speaking in California with Ralph Abraham and Rupert Sheldrake. And that was pretty mind-blowing to just be like a 18, 19-year-old Winnipeg boy and have someone say, hey, have you heard Psilocybin in the Sands of Time by Terrence McKenna at the Esalen Institute? By far one of my favorite Terrence McKenna lectures, and my favorite quote from that lecture is him talking about psilocybin mushrooms and saying, these substances do not bathe the ego in a cloud of certitude. And I just thought, man, that's pretty accurate right there. There's definitely no cloud of certitude going down on a 5-gram mushroom trip. That's all. Deep. What's that, Mark?
Pretty deep.
Oh, dude. And to be so young, to get turned on to Terrence, to be so young and then read Archaic Revival and Food of the Gods and The Invisible Landscape and the dialogues at the Edge of the West with Ralph and Rupert. And then there's True Hallucinations came out. And it was just so, like, I've never been more excited for a book to come out than when Terrence would release his latest and greatest. So I always think of Kelly meeting him on the beach when I talk about Terrence. She's like, oh, I met Terrence once just on the beach. We would go and hang out and watch the sunrise. I was like, of course you did, Kelly. Like, yeah. That's awesome.
And then she would go out and swim with the dolphins. So,
right.
It's a magical spot there at Kealakekua Bay.
I have done this myself, swimming with dolphins, not in some horrible prison in Jamaica or something like that, but I was out in my boat one day, and this huge pod of dolphins kind of started swimming all around the boat, Pacific white-sideds, and I just jumped in the water. I didn't even think. I jumped in the water, and then of course they all took off like torpedoes. And then they started coming back and checking me out, and I could feel them swimming beside me. They'd like rip underneath me and rip beside me. And I'll tell you, the humbling feeling of like how easy, like, you know, you don't think of the dolphin as a violent animal, but I'll tell you, when you jump into the ocean with a couple hundred of them and they start ripping around you, you realize how quickly, like, wow, you are in their zone. That is a very strong animal. And the way it moves through the water is mildly disconcerting when you first jump in, and you feel the sheer velocity of that thing ripping by you. Like, man, if that hit me, that would. I never got that feeling from seals, but I certainly was humbled by dolphins.
Marcus, can you hear my voice?
I can hear your voice, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent.
I'm having troubles because I'm trying to do this, but it's really hard for me.
Oh, right. You want to show us some things. Is that what you're trying to do? Well, you know what? Listen, if it's too hard, smoke a couple bowls.
I'll show you some camp patches. Those are the Campaign Against Marijuana Planters from California, from I think about 1976 to I think it went to 2008 or something like that.
These are like Beaverland Dam and stuff like that, or just all camp?
No, these are patches, police patches.
Oh, the patches. Right. Okay, I get that. Oh, there's the infamous couch right there. If you ever want to get higher than you've ever been in your entire life, that's the couch. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can't, maybe if you talk, Sam, it'll put the screen, it'll take your screen.
I have no idea. Is it showing?
Yes.
Okay. Well, these I'm trying to see.
That's
what
good.
It's really hard, but so these are some of the early ones from 85 or from 79.
There's a really good movie on YouTube from, I think, 1987 called Ganjasaurus Rex. I don't know if anyone's seen it, Ganjasaurus Rex, but it's super funny.
Friends of mine made the movie and starred in it.
Exactly, they all still live in the area, so there's a bunch of people that know them, and Joey Humboldt local, give it up, what's up?
So these are patches that the police themselves have made and were wearing during these busts, correct?
Yeah, I'll give you some examples. Okay, so 89, it just says camp. But 2008, it says, we're back. And 2090 says, eradicators.
Jesus.
I mean, these are the patches that created PTSD in people. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun to look at them and everything, but it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of.
Well, it's like the Holocaust. You don't want to forget about it. You know, like these guys did some great crimes against cannabis growers of humanity, and it's like it can't be forgotten. It's like it's historical now. Like they did some, they fucked with a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Death Star Boy Scout.
Wow. I honestly still to this day when I hear helicopters, I just look up. It's like internal at this point. I don't know, and I just have this weird feeling in me. I'm like, ugh, those things.
1991 is cut and burn. 92 is opening a new decade. Plant it and we will come.
Oh my God, these bastards.
When you care enough to send the very best, meaning camp is the very best.
Wow.
This is no ordinary camp. clear and present danger. I guess they're going to send Harrison Ford.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy, Collin. I'm the same way with helicopters. And since moving here, because I have these crazy mountains behind my house, we hear the helicopters all the time. They're not trying to capture grows anymore, but what they're doing
Right.
is they're looking for people who are lost on the mountain behind my house. And like, you know, it's a lot of the time, I'd say more than 50%, they're retrieving bodies rather than people.
Is that a normal thing in BC because there's just so much wilderness there and so
Well,
many people
it depends.
are very
Listen,
active?
this is it. I live in an area that seems to be pretty close to the city, so you can access it within 20, 30 minutes. But what you don't realize is it's the back country. It is the back country. And people go up there without backpacks, without GPS, without any type of, you know, tools to care for yourself. Let people know where you're going. Let people know what trails you're going and show them on the map and whatnot. There's a network of trails back there that go on for hours and hours. They lead into different, you know, valleys and gullies and all sorts of different things, cliff bands, and people just end up they don't respect it the way they should. They're not humble. You know,
Sure.
When you go up there, you have to be super humble because the mountains swallow people up whole.
Right.
I've got labels too, but you know what I'm going to do? It's too hard for me to do this like this. I'm going to make little video clips, and maybe next week or as soon as we do the next show, I can present the little video clips.
Or if you get them scanned or even take a picture of them, I can put them right on my screen. Like I can share the screen and you can go through them.
150 patches.
Well, you get Rick over there with his smartphone and it'll take him about an hour to take a picture of everyone.
No, it's not that simple because they're all in little plastic Ziploc to keep them separate.
That's okay.
To take a good shot, you really need to take them out of the Ziploc.
Wow, that's messing now.
Marcus, it sounds like after all of this, you know, the world gets itself back together, someone should take a trip to see Sam and to help him document this stuff and to compile, you know, what he's got. It's really amazing what you've been able to. I mean, you know, my first question was like, how do you even know about those patches, and then how does one even come in contact with someone that even is able to?
There's one way to get them. That is, you have to sneak up behind a police officer, rip it off of his arm, and run away really fast.
And Sam's got 150 of them, just to let you know.
I got 1,200.
Oh, sorry, right. 1,250 patches, 150 of the other 1,200 patches.
Man, you must be a sneaky guy.
It's odd that they actually made a commemorative patch to commemorate a season of busts.
I think we need to make a hash church patch.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, you know, I guess what else do people make patches for? Like music and other things? I mean, these guys made patches to commemorate busting people. I mean, didn't they probably use public funds that they were being paid to probably do all this? This is actually like owned by the people that paid for it, right? The taxpayers, the people that were getting busted. I mean, should we be talking about how ludicrous it was that they felt so self-important about what they were doing, that they made a fucking patch about it to put on their fucking sleeve? They wear shit like this, you know? It's like,
run away.
You know?
Yep. People, man. They're people. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on. Everyone's gonna, you know, they're still doing the same things. It's such a strange. The first time I saw those patches, and that was a long time ago, I was just like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? And then he brought out, after he showed me all these patches, then he was like, now check out these. These are like from a group of growers. They were making like their own little labels for their ganja, and this group Beaverland was like making it kind of like every year was like, they didn't get us, you know, they would, you know, it was like a little beaver guy, and he'd be like, ooh, that was damn close, you know, like Beaver Dam, 1984, damn close. He's like hiding in the corn. And so it was like this weird little, I mean, you can't have good and evil without evil, right? It sort of just fills the package. But he's got both sides of those patches. He's got the grower's version as well, which they didn't make patches, but they definitely made labels for their flowers and whatnot.
Those patches are so old and tone deaf. You could bring them back almost as a joke right now, and I think a lot of young kids would buy them and, think they're pretty awesome because it's so.
Dude, some of them have Grim Reapers with like syringes. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
They kind of remind me of like skateboard patches or something. You know what I mean? Like Mark was saying, like band patches and things like that, where, like Sabo just mentioned, if you brought one of those back and designed it pretty well and maybe did a throwback to it, I'd imagine that a lot of people would be interested in having that kind of thing around.
There it is, Beaver brand. Damn good.
There's three more. Damn fine, damn near invisible, damn
close. I remember damn close.
That's amazing. And those are in color, Sam?
Yes, they're in color. Not only are they in color, but they were, the big ones were put in pounds, like in a big Ziploc with a pound in it. And the smaller ones were for ounces. So what they are is counterculture vegetable crate art.
Huh.
Well, it's the beginning of cannabis branding, and from a design perspective, it's these guys were way ahead of their time in the way they were thinking.
I've got ones from the mid-'60s.
See, that's to me so cool, because it's the intellect that goes behind something like that is very simple, but it's really profound to me because they're thinking about cannabis in a broader, in the sense of monetary, trying to attach a name to it in a way that was branded. Very, very cool.
A lot of the earlier ones were not product that the grower had produced. A lot of it was imported product. So they were importers from Mexico or something like that.
Right. So Sam, I have a question about imported cannabis, because it's been a topic I've had for a while with some friends of mine. When do you think that we just stopped really becoming a major importer and started becoming more of a domestic producer in the States, or just in North America? What would be the time frame do you think that started to shift over?
Many growers in the 60s. So it had to be the 70s or 80s.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, I know when you guys started doing medical down in California, that changed everything, because you guys were buying tens of thousands of pounds from BC in the 90s, mid 90s to late 90s. And then 2000s sort of started rolling around. I don't know how far it took, because I wasn't involved in that anymore. But it definitely, there was a major shift at one point in time where there was no longer a need to bring herb from Canada to the U.S.
I definitely remember that. We were getting the Mexican weed and the Canadian cannabis because there just wasn't enough supply in California for this first couple of years. And then really they started cracking down on the border. I think that's what's happening. The border got tighter up there. So, and domestic production.
Operation Intercept by Nixon in 1968.
Well, that's taking it back a little further.
Yeah.
I was there.
I believe it.
Of course you were there. Hey, let's all shout out Occult Botany, who's in the chat room right now. He's saying to Sebo Shen, I love my Evo. Thank you for making it. But he has an enormous amount of hash churches saved on his computer hard drive. And the all-woman episode, the all-woman panel, somehow I went to look for it the other day. Episode 147, it was totally deleted off my channel. And I emailed him up, and 3 minutes later, apparently he's in Russia. He sent me the entire video, 1.5 gigs through Dropbox. So I uploaded it, had to put my trust out there. I was like, Jesus Christ, I hope this isn't another hack thing where I'm gonna regret this. But I took the file from him, I uploaded it, and I want to give him a shout out because he is he saved that's my favorite episode of Hash Church.
Take control of your computer and try to offer Bitcoins.
Not yet. I'm hoping that I feel that he's a good person. I really do. I feel that he's a good person after emailing with him a little bit, and I put my trust in him, and I just wanted to give him a shout out and let everyone in the room know that that's really cool that he's got our backs that way, because man, when you have an episode that's streamed live, if nobody has it, it's gone. And it hurt my soul to think that episode was gone. So it's back up on the channel. I just uploaded it yesterday, actually. So anyone that wants to go check that out with Dr. Natasha and Dr. Marcia and Rosie and Hillary and Amanda Siebert's on there. There's a whole vast variety on there, but it has inspired me to want to do another one. You'll have to be there for that, Debbie. I want to get another all-woman panel and more than 10, like maybe 15 to 20, and just let you guys do your thing and make another great episode of Hash Church.
I'm loving those the Zoom backgrounds. Those are so cool. I was reading that you could do that. I got to figure that out.
Oh yeah, we've been playing for the last little while. I'm not gonna lie. We've been playing around with Zoom.
I can do it on my phone, but I can't do it on my computer. I tried out right now.
Oh yeah, no, it's super cool. It's you got to update your Zoom if it's an older version of Zoom, but you can put all sorts of fun little backgrounds up, and it just kind of changes it up a little bit. How you doing, D420K?
Doing fucking spectacular this morning, buddy.
Right, we've been keeping it on the down low with our late night chats. It's been good, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, after our night last night, I was doing some more trimming, and I mixed some DMT with my rosin there and did about 4 or 5 blasts. I haven't gone to bed yet. I got this this thing in me, like I couldn't go to bed without doing all the shit I needed to do. I cleaned my house up. It was like I've never done crystal meth, don't get me wrong, but it's like I did some and got on a cleaning mode. And holy fuck, man, I cleaned my house up. I went grocery shopping at 8 o'clock as soon as the seniors were done their grocery shopping. I went in there, masked up, fucking got $600 worth of shit. It's all stacked up. I can't believe what I got done, accomplished, and everything like that. What a trip. It didn't take me out to the universe and to another place or nothing. It just gave me kind of a kaleidoscope effect on my house. And just the thing of get your shit done, you need to get done. Hurry up. That's about it. So I was just doing that. And let's do a bong rip, everybody. Bong rip, mother lovers.
Yeah, let's do a bong rip for Josh and Kelly. They're actually dealing with their dog right now, who's passing away during this episode. He's been dying for a couple of days now. Yeah, so let's send our love and our positivity to Josh and Kelly, the Dragonfly Earth Medicine, and their doggy, and I'm sure.
I just had to put my kitty down. I just had to put a kitty down to a pet, just before this pandemic. Very sad losing pets.
Yeah, it's definitely it's not the best of vibes. It's sad times for sure, but I think the hardest thing to do for people is to let their animals die sometimes, not try to keep them alive. And I know that Josh and Kelly are definitely in the group of letting their animal die and not being like, oh, we just have to keep it alive because it's our animal and we love it and we can't imagine life without it type of thing. That's the hard part, that they live for such a short period of time compared to us. Definitely.
Yeah, my heart goes out to them for sure. It's the hardest thing to lose a dog. I got a dog in Williams, we call it Cherokee. And when I really started going full tilt in 2011, 2012, I was gone all the time. And the separation anxiety killed my dog. It was horrible. Here I'm trying to do good things for my family and educate people. And on the other end, my puppy's dying. So my heart goes out to our friends and I hope they, just hang in there, you guys. It's a tough time.
Yeah, you have our support, Josh and Kelly. We're here with you. Really sorry to hear that. And I wanted to say hi to Bryon from Best Friend Farms as well. I haven't said a shout out to him yet. Welcome, brother. Oh, unmute you there. Oh, you're still muted.
Hey, I got you. How's it going? Nice to see you. So sorry to hear for the dog. Yeah, that's really tough. Sorry for you guys for that. How you doing?
We're doing good, man. You know, I'm really glad that we managed to go live today, because that was not a for sure. I wasn't for sure, you know, that it was gonna. Last week it didn't let me go live, and that was kind of just a little stuck in my claw a bit, you know, where you just want to go live, but you can't. But people still watched, and we still got the information out. I feel that these live streams, you know, 90% of it is that it's live.
Right.
Shout out to Terps Army too. I put my shirt on today. He gave this to me last year in Barcelona, and I haven't worn it once. And today I was like, I'm gonna give out my Lorenzo a shout out from Italy, from the Terps Army. He's this guy's always winning every contest he enters. He's just produces super fire. And,
speaking of Italy, I mean, speaking of Spain, Ripper Seeds guys back in Barcelona too. Got the shirt with you, man. When we went to their place.
Dude, I had that video on the other day where you were unconscious, passed out from all the dabs.
Dab note.
The DTFO Johnny B video, for those of you that haven't seen it. I did a whole series of shots of John unconscious in chairs, in cars, at hotels, through a
everywhere.
Trip that we did to Spain. Yeah, he was just like unconscious in every variety of way that you could possibly do. And I made a nice little edit of his DTFO. And I don't know what I put the title under, but apparently it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay, I remember. I've seen it. People commented about it. Oh, okay.
That's awesome. That was a good trip. 2014 maybe, eh? 2014, 2015?
That was a trip of a lifetime, man. That was the most epic trip. Barcelona, what we did, running around, the videoing, and going to Medical Seeds, when we saw all the places we did. That was quite an amazing adventure. I'm very happy I was able to enjoy that journey with you.
Oh, me too, man. That was a good one. I really felt bummed this year that I wasn't able to make it. It was sad times, you know. I still had a lot of friends that decided to go, but I had already canceled the trip to Italy like the week before, and just thought maybe if I'm not going to go to Italy, it wouldn't be the smartest idea just to go to Spain, which is really not, especially Barcelona, right in the south there, not too far away. Oh, there's Kelly taking bong rips, milking the bong.
Hey, y'all. Nice to see you this morning. Thanks for the love out to our dog, Lola. She really is needing it right now. We appreciate you guys and all the kind words.
And tell us a little bit about Lola. Let's have some good Lola stories. How long have you had Lola for?
She's the daughter of our golden retriever, and she's half Bernese mountain dog and half golden retriever. And those kind of dogs turn out to be a big black dog, smaller than a Newfie, a little bit like a Newfie, but definitely like the combo. And Bernese, some people think it's Burmese mountain dog like Burma, but it's Bern like Switzerland. And so they're a Swiss mountain dog. And she's just been amazing here on the property. She's a big, loving, incredible nanny dog. And anytime we ever get chickens or ducks or anything, she's just can't leave their side. She just really wants to hang out with them and be with them. And
she's the best bear dog we've ever had. So she's always the one keeping the bears off the property, away from all of our food. So now that she's passing, we're gonna have to put up a fence. She's been our, our groundskeeper for a really long time.
We do have 2 other golden retrievers still. Her father is still alive and he's with us. So we have a pack of 3 and 2 of them are kind of getting older, but we're thankful. We've had an amazing life here, and they've pretty much been on the property ever since we've been on here. This is our 14th summer. So, it's part of our,
Lola.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it. Thank you for sharing some stories of Lola. That puts everything into perspective for us. So we just, instead of just feeling sad, we also have this was an amazing dog that they enjoyed for many, many years. That was their great friend and was a great worker for the farm.
Bernese mountain dogs often, have heart problems. And so they can die around 8 years old often, which is really sad. They're the lovingest, most amazing dogs. So this one, she's lived a lot longer than that. And, we've been giving her cannabis oil and mushroom oil and all the stuff we give our dogs, every day, always, and stuff. So we definitely feel like that's given her an amazing quality of life. And so more than anything, we're really just thankful for the time we've had,
And I've got to say, this, yet again, cannabis to the rescue. It helped my mom die. It's helping our dog die. It's helped Josh's dad die with dignity, with grace, without feeling pain, just feeling like so in honor of this plant when you really need it, and you're really needing something that's going to truly help it. It has really come to our rescue, and it's come to her rescue. So it's been really awesome. She's not in any pain, and she's just been, using cannabis this last week and just resting.
Along with the polypore medicine,
yeah.
As well. Just to add that, because we always gather them together on the walks and everything, and the dogs are always sniffing them out and stuff. So she likes the red belted conch, the Fomitopsis pinicola.
Oh yeah, the red belted. Yeah, I like the red belted myself. I was thinking of you guys yesterday as I was in the forest hiking with Tanner. We hiked for almost an hour straight up the mountain, and we saw all sorts of polypores, red belteds, chagas. We like things that I didn't even recognize. It was really a great little. Here's one of the pictures I took yesterday, actually.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful red belted conch, Fomitopsis pinicola. The pinicola, is inhabiting pine. But that Fomitopsis, that pinicola, it grows on birch, which I would think you'd call it a Fomitopsis betulinus because of the betulinic acid in the birch tree, and is a bit of a different form. It gets a little more bulbous around the outside where the red belt is and everything, and it's nice. Everyone should learn betulinic acid and birch trees. It's probably one of the most medicinal trees on earth. And you can bark. That's why chaga is so amazing, because chaga synthesizes the betulinic acid and creates superoxide dismutase, which is in the longevity enzyme. The highest living organism on earth that has the highest SODs in it is a turtle. And they can live, as we know, hundreds of years. So often birch, when it's dead in the forest, the birch bark will stay totally intact while the whole entire log on the inside rots out of it, because there's these longevity enzymes within the bark that totally keep it alive. And so it's really beautiful, and it's a northern tree, so it gives medicine to the north. A lot of people grow medicine around the equator and south.
And right now is a wonderful time to tap the birch tree. And when you tap it, this beautiful sweet water comes out of it that's completely, it has full spectrum vitamins, minerals, nutrients, everything that you could think of it. Tons of polysaccharides, and it's really healthy for us during these times when we're coming out of the long winter.
Similar to the maple tree, the birch tree does that. And I would also add that there's an ORAC rating, if everyone doesn't know about that, ORAC, and that's how you rate an antioxidant within food or medicines. And the chaga has off the charts amount of ORAC rating in it. So the highest amount of antioxidants of anything on earth, by 100,000, it's pretty phenomenal. So chaga is important.
Well, I saw so many of them yesterday on my hike, but the one I'm looking for that I still haven't found in my backyard is agarikon.
Agarikon is more on Douglas fir. So if you're in a Douglas fir old growth area, you're more likely to find it. And it's an old growth style polypore, multiple years. It's harder to find, but it's once you get clued in and you find certain areas. That's why old growth is important.
And also the native people up in your zone and area, Marcus, is actually, have the oldest paintings and pictographs of the agarikon. So your zone and region actually is where it's found.
Oh no, it's here for sure. It's here. I know that. It's just the mushroom tends to grow quite high up sometimes in the trees. It's not like and then the trails here, if you misstep, it's like a 500-foot cliff down the mountain. Like it's not a drop, but it's like you will roll and you will not stop unless you get like, you know, stuck on a tree branch or something. And I'm with my 5-year-old and my little dog up there. Tanner legitimately ran up the mountain yesterday for 43 minutes straight, like an Olympic athlete, just running. We're both, Shar and I were like, Tanner, like slow down.
There's a really cool book called The Wild Redwoods, and it talks about how they first climbed the redwoods, and the old growth redwood trees, the first branch is about 90 to 100 feet up. So it's nearly impossible to climb that. So they learned from the International Arborist Society to use a crossbow with a fishing line on it. So they take a crossbow and they try and get the bow over the first branch with fishing line, and then they pull the rope over, and then eventually they tie a knot up there, and then they use a jig. And I think Tanner would really like this. You get him like a harness and a jig to where you're just, you push yourself up with your foot, and he could climb up and get your agaricon for you over the 500-foot cliff. I think it would work out great.
I like it. It's where he's growing up, right? This is his playground. So, and we're spending at least an hour to 2 hours in the forest every day with my family. So we're just we're so blessed to be able to walk out the back door and hit a network of trails that is just so beautiful. The trees are just covered in moss. The mushrooms are everywhere. You just have to make sure you don't take your eyes off of your feet for very long. You really have to stop and enjoy the view, because if you try to enjoy it while you're walking, it could become a little dangerous.
And also the water melts, and as the snow melts, the rivers start getting crazy up here. Oh yeah. So you really don't want to actually accidentally fall in the river either.
No, the trails we've been taking have been avoiding the crossings of the rivers, because there are certain trails, like one called Unnecessary Mountain, that is, you have to cross this river. I've done it many times on my dirt bike. And at one point in time, it becomes impossible. Like when the spring melt happens, there's like a month to 2 month period where this little river suddenly becomes like 12 to 15 feet wide and, like 5 to 6 feet deep from something that was just nothing comparable. The melt and the rains. Good old spring. Hey, welcome, Etienne.
Hello, beautiful peoples. How are we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing, we're trucking along here, and we're live on YouTube, so that's good. There's almost 500 people, I think, watching in the chat room, 440, so that's good.
Hey, I just wanted to send love and healing power to Debbie. I know you're going through a tough time right now, so much love, much respect, and hope you heal and get past this hell quickly.
Very nice. I got a negative test result, thank goodness.
Oh.
Yeah. I went through the ringer, you guys. I got very ill during a quarantine. My daughter's school got the coronavirus. Four people are down. There's an 18-year-old kid on a ventilator right now from her school. So we had first-hand contact. They put us in quarantine, and then we got symptoms. So they tested us. It was a very scary time, but we came up negative. We have the flu. I have an ear infection. So, man, I'll tell you, we gotta get together as a community and help the first responders. We have a nurse on staff, Nurse Barbara Blazer. We're gonna start a GoFundMe for first responders, because I'll tell you, they're stressed, they're scared. They literally don't have equipment. The aide, for example, had to stand 6 feet away because they don't have enough equipment to be anywhere near the patients. So I'd love it if I could get some unity from people on a GoFundMe from the cannabis industry to the totally stressed first responders. So you can expect that coming out from us. And Etienne, maybe we can get together on that too. So
I'll post it in the Hash Church forum as well. And I can even post it in the comment section of this video once it's created.
Excellent. So appreciated. So
happy to help along, Debbie. Thank you again for your help this week. We had another Herculean lift here in California. Well, Berkeley decided the Berkeley Health Department hates cannabis, always has hated cannabis, always will. And they kind of played some dirty pool on us in the middle of the night. Basically 6:30 before the next working day, they basically sent out letters saying, you have to close your front doors, people. You can't do, everybody else can do curbside delivery, but cannabis. And we're like, wait, that's wrong. So We literally had to activate our entire networks. Everybody, all the dispensaries in Berkeley, all activated their networks. And after a lot of hard fighting, we're able to reverse that, and we can go to delivery and curbside. We had delivery and had delivery ready, but everybody else was stuck and really screwed over. So I was like, fuck this. We got to fight for everybody. Everybody's got to have access. Period. End of story. I cannot sit here and just do my delivery and go, ha ha ha, everybody. No. We're old school. We're all unity. We all fight together. We fought together. Our communities came out. We had to literally flip 5 city council members, and we're able to lobby and change that in a matter of 24 hours, which was incredible, and also leads to years of activism that we've been doing and work. It's a success to finally, and frustration while going through this, to still have to fight for my patients' access and right, and we did. So thank you, Debbie. Thank you, all Berkeley dispensaries. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor of Berkeley. We did it again.
But you know what, Etienne, it's what you do, bro. It's what you guys do. It's like, I don't even know if you guys would know any, like you and Debbie, what the fuck would you be doing? Like if you weren't just like crushing the enemy, like constantly, like just like nonstop.
That's what I was thinking. Like, don't these people know us? They really think this is going to fly? Like, I don't know if you guys know, but I have an Oakland dispensary and a Berkeley dispensary. My Berkeley dispensary, I'm partnered with the coolest guys, the owners of Amoeba Music record stores. So we opened up a dispensary right next to the record store there on Telegraph Avenue. Yeah, they literally sent us a note and said, you got to close by tomorrow. That's it. You know, today's your last day. Are you kidding me? We've got like 20, 30,000 people depending on us for their cannabis. And you're just going to give us notice for no reason at all. No reason at all.
Were liquor stores still allowed to be open?
Yeah, liquor stores are fine. Restaurants are fine. Any other essential health service was fine. But like Etienne said, the Health Commission is mad at us because we just won something. In Berkeley, we fought and won for on-site cannabis consumption at dispensaries. And the City Health Commission said no. They were so against us. They put their recommendation to the City Council that no way should this happen at all. And the City Council ignored them. They voted for us instead. So those guys were pissed off, and the first chance they had to retaliate was this, and so that's what they did. They just said, oh, we're closing you guys. You got like 5 hours notice to close your doors. And we were just like, really? No, that's not going to work for us.
That's some bullshit for sure. I was happy to see our Minister of Safety and Justice, or whatever his title is, go on and deem cannabis as an essential like service. I was like, okay, all right, this is good.
That's right. In Oakland, it was the opposite because we had our shelter in place went in place, and I emailed the city council, and that night, I never have city council get in touch with me, but the very night of shelter in place was announced, 2 council members responded to me. They're like, oh my God, next thing I know, 9 p.m., the city administrator's office is getting in touch with me. We're supposed to close the next day. They're like, no, you guys are essential businesses. You can stay open. Fine.
Exactly. And it's essentially different. You know, people in the chat are like, liquor marts or are liquor stores are essential businesses. Okay, let me explain to you the difference between cannabis and liquor. Cannabis will keep people, it's great for cabin fever. It's essential for so many different things that people are using, both, you know, in the medicinal world. It's a wonderful tool for the recreational adult use. Now, alcohol, on the other hand, the reason it's essential is because all of the alcoholics would end up taking hospital beds if you stopped giving them access to alcohol. They would legitimately, some of them would end up in the hospital, and that would be a strain on the healthcare. And that's why the liquor stores are essential, to keep the alcoholics from taking up hospital beds that COVID-19 patients will need. How about that for a crazy, like, difference?
I think I mentioned this last week here in Pennsylvania. The liquor stores are state run. You could buy beer and wine at a grocery store, at certain grocery stores that have licenses. But the liquor, if you want hard liquor, you have to go to a state run liquor store. Those have been closed, but the Pennsylvania licensed dispensaries are open and were deemed essential. And exactly what you said, Marcus, I mean, cannabis keeps people alive. Alcohol kills people. You know?
Yeah, 3 million Americans a year from booze. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I think, what is it? Is the number from tobacco-related illness?
It's like 400,000 or 500,000, I think, for the U.S. Still a lot, but 3 million is uncomparable. Like, you just like 3 million is so astronomical of a number for people to like. That's just, When you think of, go ahead.
I think they said like the hospital intakes due to alcohol and nicotine and stuff like that were like 40%. A lot of the intakes for people coming in from withdrawals, from lung diseases, and all kinds of stuff, from cancers and everything. Because I know I was studying all the statistics. That was like in 2010 though, so it was a long time ago. But there was just a huge drain on the healthcare system due to all of that, and exactly why it is an essential service. Because, like you said, the hospital, they couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
they couldn't handle the intake.
They made mixed drinks. You can buy mixed drinks to go now. They just like package them up with your food at a restaurant.
Or delivery.
You can even get them delivered to your house. Yeah.
But I mean, those numbers though don't even touch the abuse, the mental harm.
Well, that's
family harm, and all the other things that have happened due to alcohol. That is on a whole other level of damage.
The state of Massachusetts, there's recreational has not been deemed essential, so it's just medical right now. But it's it's interesting to see how every state's been handling this. So and then within each state, each county. So there's a lot of it's intricate, especially with what's happening now.
Well, it's a huge responsibility to stay open too, because the last thing we want is dispensaries to be vectors for infection spread. So we have to be incredibly careful. It's not just like me or Etienne's shop, where if one of us go down, it's going to reflect poorly on the whole entire industry. And I feel so responsible, and I'm sure everyone does who's open, for our staff members to make sure that we have good protocols so we don't get people sick on the job. And I've been actually quarantined at home this whole time. Ever since the shelter in place happened, I've been stuck at home. So a million thanks to my team who's still there fighting the fight. I'll be back.
Yes. Hey, I want to welcome Wendy Turner and Wade Laughter to the room. How about those smiley faces that both came in at the same time? That's nice.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late. Little technical difficulties, but here we are.
Yeah,
Morning,
Wendy.
morning.
Oh, there we go. She unmuted. Oh, I still can't hear her. Oh, no. It's doing this.
Good morning, Wade and Wendy and Monica.
Brown, over half of gray, Wade.
What's that?
Half of your mustache looks reddish brown and half of it is white.
Yeah.
I've just got mostly white with a round kind of brown sort of like thing in the center. If you stare, it's kind of trippy actually.
Uh-huh. Well, psychedelic for everyone this morning.
That's what I'm saying. Hopefully Wendy can get her microphone working. Some people have come in and they've been talking without their mic on and it didn't work. How did you fix that? You went to your mic on the bottom left and just picked microphone or something, or?
Sometimes you have to go into your preferences and select your sound and check your output or input.
When you join the Zoom meeting, you have to click on, I think, a certain thing, right?
But if you're on a computer, it'll be on the bottom left next to the little microphone that says mute. There's a little arrow next to it, and that lets you go into all the settings of selecting a microphone and whatnot, because we definitely want to hear from you. It's nice to join with everyone. We got a good group today. There's 12 of us in here right now.
And we're live this week too. Hey.
And we're live with 443 people. No, sorry, 444. Can't keep up. They're dropping, they're coming back in. They're dropping, they're coming back in. Just messing with me.
By the way, another thing I think we have to do as a community is prep for 420. We can't have people rushing dispensaries around the nation or, in Canada on 420. We got to figure out how to spread it out, flatten the line, flatten the 420 line. Yeah. One thing that we're working on right now is an online 420 party, 11 to 7. Get your cannabis early, go home for the online party for 420. So I really think whatever our messaging is, it has to be, don't rush to dispensaries on 420. You got all month to get there. Do not line up 600 people deep outside of our facility. That could be a huge problem.
I would also definitely say, and it should go without saying, that if you're feeling like, symptoms, you're feeling sick, like these dispensaries, some of them are medical and people have immune compromised systems. They'll catch things even easier. So it's like send someone to go for you if you need to do that. Don't go down there like all symptomatic and all, sneezy and sick.
Debbie, we were thinking of doing the same thing, doing something online so that we could entertain people and promote it to them so that they could, have something to see, something to do. I was going to do a question and answer, being the partner that I am, just kind of, just for some fun and giggles, but at the same time, just talking about the seriousness of the reality that we're all dealing with, because, we're all going through this together, pretty much no matter what country, just about. And just about every state, unfortunately, we still don't have full lockdowns here in the United States, which means this situation is going to continue much longer than any of us ever wanted to or ever anticipated. And it's going to have devastating realities across the board for every type of ancillary business. So I hear you, Debbie. We're going to have to do something for the first responders first. And then afterwards, we're going to cities, there's all kinds of businesses that are just destroyed out of this, and there's all kinds of ancillary businesses that are going to need some help along the way, from telethons, doesn't matter. There's going to be all kinds of creative ways that we're going to have to find to raise money for these people and these industries, because this is unprecedented.
Man, Etienne, I would love to collaborate on a telethon. I love that idea. My thought was if we could figure a few dispensaries that want to chip in to put together a real production online, like an 8-hour production. Yeah, I never thought about the idea. It could be a fundraiser too, but I think that is so brilliant. Believe me, I pictured our Hash Church panel in there in the content somewhere too, an hour of 420 Hash Church or who knows what, but yeah, some serious entertainment, good enough that people stay home for it.
You have to go all the way and get Jerry Lewis.
I've got Jerry Lewis, actually, sorry to say. I want to do a show on 420. I want to invite like 100 people from all over the world, from different countries, and just leave it going all day long in the room, and people can just kind of come and go. And as it becomes closer to 420 in a particular group's place, they can come in and celebrate it. And I think it would be a cool live video to do for sure.
Fully agree. It's such a great idea.
Right?
Yep, we got to do that stuff.
Agreed.
We're very
and we have to think outside the box, and we're the outside box kind of thinkers and doers, right? We always have been. So let's just figure out ways how we can help our community, and the ideas you guys are watching us do here in chat. You can take these ideas, talk to your local dispensaries, and instill these ideas, and we can spread them throughout, because they're good ideas. We definitely have to keep people home. We definitely don't want us to see what we've seen for years, which is literally lines around the block. That is fucking dangerous now. We cannot do that. I agree 100% with Debbie. We have to find creative solutions to keep people home. Unfortunately, 420 is also a smoking holiday, which means we were so used to smoking with everybody. We don't need wook flu. We don't need wook fever. We don't need wook cough. So, keep it separate, keep it safe.
We do need wook sauce. And, there's things we need from the wook. So let's, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to...
Just not the wook flu and the wook cough. That is not something, this is the unique thing about this virus is that it really does attack the lungs. It is a respiratory illness. So it's even not a bad time, like Debbie said, like an 18-year-old kid's on a ventilator, like you don't know how your DNA is going to react to this virus. They don't know if it is blood types and what all the nuances and variables are at play that create someone who's seemingly perfectly healthy. Go ahead.
They did find that it does attach to your neurons, but especially at the base of the brain, right where you breathe. So that they have definitely found is it goes directly to the brain stems and turns it off at the actual tap. So that is huge, at least in the understanding. But they're still trying to grasp a whole bunch. There was misinformation put out that they still found that on that ship in Oakland 27 days later, which turned out to be misinformation. But that misinformation still going out there and confusing people, just like our asshole president did when he was saying, oh, it's just a Democratic hoax trying to bring people down. And that is literally going to cost thousands of people their lives.
There's a great interview that Trevor Noah did with the doctor, Anthony Fauci there. He did a little interview with him, and it's kind of like he just lets him talk, which is, I guess, something that the president doesn't really want to let him do. But it seemed to be a good bit of information that guy laid out. I guess he's worked under 6 different presidents. Maybe this will be his last one. I don't know.
I think this is a really good time to choose organic medicine and organic cannabis, you know, more than ever. And I think it's a really good time. Like I said, everything's an opportunity. I mean, the best thing about this is it's springtime, and part of the illness spread is due to a low immune system. And that low immune system is happening in the soil. And that's why regenerative living soils are so important, because they make the plant living, and they bring medicine to the plant, which then tune brings medicine to us. So if we want to look towards the future, we really got to take this time where we're sitting, you know, to go beyond, you know, politics and the medical world, and just go back to the land, you know, and not as a cliche term, but to learn about composting and building gardens. I mean,
going back to the land.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask right now, I mean, prepping the soil, we're past sort of, because we're in spring. So I'm looking at Farmer Tom there, because they're getting ready to plant or already have planted hemp. What are the hemp farmers doing this year, and what can they do due to the this unfortunate, you know, coronavirus situation? They're actually limited in what they can do. What can they get their field workers out there doing what they need to do? Can they plant? Can they harvest?
Yeah, we're pretty much on schedule on our farm in the States. We've got all of our seeds planted. We have mothers left over. We're making clones from last year. We're pretty much on course, except for this year. We're going to do about half the amount of hemp and, you know, double up on the vegetable side. We got a community that we've been feeding there in Vancouver, Washington for quite some time. And I think more than ever, people need clean produce to eat. So, you know, along with the medicine, we also want to, and have forever, encourage clean, organic food. So, so we're definitely on. I'm encouraging all of our students at the Hemp Farming Academy to double up on the vegetables this year. I'm telling people, like, the first 10, 15 feet of each row, dedicate to vegetables to feed. Like on the farm you're looking at right now, if we had dedicated a couple more space to the rows, we could have fed everybody on the farm easily, instead of these $600-800 a day bills on bought food, you know. So it was really a shame. We learned a lot from last year. So this year I'm telling everybody to, you know, dedicate, you know, 10, 15 feet of each row along the end. It'll give it a beautiful look. Plus you'll be getting really clean food to eat for, you know, you and your crew. Because I think vegetable production is going to be key this summer, no doubt about it.
What vegetables are you recommending for people to be growing at the end of their crop?
Well, like kales, we love a lot of kale. Just your basic vegetable garden. Winter squash, they store really well. So winter squash is really key. We're gonna, you know, double up on the winter squash. Kale and collards and all those things, man, they can last, and where I am in Vancouver, Washington, well into the winter. So they provide food the year round. So those are the main things. They're superfoods. You know, and then the standard fare, we're doing tomatoes, of course, and watermelon, like my favorite thing. Even they don't store so long, they definitely are my favorite. And nothing's better than a fresh watermelon during the middle of summer, during a hot day in the field. So there you go.
I would add potatoes to that.
Excuse me?
What
I would
kind of
add
squash do
potatoes.
you
Well, we're growing acorn squash, do really well. We're also growing some, I love Cinderella pumpkins. Not only the seeds are really good on the Cinderella pumpkins, but the meat is really exceptional. So as far as the winter squash, you know, the acorns, they last a long time, and I like the winter squash. And there's a bunch of other varieties too that also do well, and they store well.
Which variety do you find stores the best? Stores the longest?
The acorn squash, they store really well, definitely. So I think those are the best storing. They've got a really hard shell on them, and they last a long time. The key is like during the beginning, at the end of the year, pull them out of the fields. We like to bring them into the house and kind of harden them off by the wood stove. Not too close, but just give them, and they kind of harden up, and they last a lot longer from my experience.
A lot of the winter squashes like to get a tiny frost on them or a little coldness right before you bring them in to harden them off too. And
hardens off their skin.
And it can, make them a little sweeter. Another thing to add to the end of your hemp res is potatoes and root vegetables, and even yacon, the South American tuber, would be a really amazing thing. Another thing you could grow would be like sea buckthorn bushes, because it's super high in vitamin C, and we know the vitamin C is one of the things that's really, really helping us through this sickness. Even goji berries and other superfood berries are really smart to have as a perennial, even on the aisle in between, and potentially surrounding your whole hemp farm with fruit trees, a variety of different types of trees and food forest varieties, which you could then grow dynamic accumulators like comfreys and mints and nettles and even horsetail if you're in a watery area, which you can use for nutrients on your land.
And Tom, I really love
the food forest has always been my dream. It's just, for me, it's, we're kind of a small operation and it's really hard to keep up on everything. And just, we've got a few apple trees and cherries and, and they do pretty good during the winter. Although I'd really like a really nice food forest garden, that's kind of my goal, and it always has been. So maybe later in my life, when I got a little bit more time, I can focus on
everything. Takes time. One thing is nice about the springtime is as you're pruning off all the little branches, you can just plant those branches right into the ground. And so you could potentially make the starting of a fence, in certain areas or just corners. You could create little zones and, and just propagate it that way. It's just fun. It's whatever you can do.
Yeah.
I like that you're encouraging food in between the hemp. That's super important. And also flowers and any kind of flowering thing throughout the summer is a really important thing for hemp farmers, as for the pests and everything and the predators that it brings in.
We're big chamomile fans too, so we always grow a lot of chamomile. It has a lot of healing properties to it, and we like to mix it in with our tinctures and stuff like that. It seems to work pretty well. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm down here in Puerto Rico. I might as well give my Puerto Rican update for the week. We're on total lockdown down here, and they've extended the mandatory curfew from 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock. I mean, 9 o'clock from 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. It goes till 5 o'clock in the morning, and the penalties are pretty steep. If you're caught on the beach or caught anywhere, it's a $5,000 fine and/or 6 months in jail. They're not messing around down here as far as that goes. But they've opened up the access is pretty good as far as medicinal goes. I'm in the city of Manatee, Puerto Rico, and the Kansas City Clinic, where my friends Eric and Harold work, they've been taking really good care of us and making sure we have the high quality medicine that the community needs down here. So shout out to those guys down there at Kansas City. They're doing an awesome job.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Farmer Tom. Do appreciate the updates around the world and what people are doing in different spots.
Hey, Wendy, you get your mic working?
Let me unmute her there.
Can you?
Oh. There it is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yay!
Oh my goodness.
Hi guys, how are you all? It's been so long. It feels like I see you on the internet all the time, and on Facebook, but I don't get to actually talk to you guys. So it's nice.
Yes, it's been a while for sure. We're definitely looking forward to an update from you and the fam. I know you've been going through all sorts of things. Like, holy smokes.
Oh, we're pretty busy all the time. But right now we're just in quarantine. So like everybody else, it's been quite a ride, especially since Colton has a compromised immune system. So I think that's one of the things that I wanted to come on here and stress is that with this COVID-19 situation, which I know you guys have been talking about all day and cover it so well. But, kids like Colton and people that have compromised immune systems are the ones that are at most risk. And not that they're the ones that are actually dying out of all this, because we've heard so many crazy stories, but you know, we have to watch out for each other. We're a community and we're a family here. And regardless of if we're actually blood or not, and we have to take care of each other and make sure that we don't spread this virus any more than it is already. So we've been quarantined for the last week and a half, and Colton is, he doesn't understand his days and nights anymore. So that's why he's not on. So he did want me to tell you guys hello and that he's doing well. But his brother is home from Texas, and they stay up all night playing video games and doing their thing. So he has been sleeping most of the day. I feel like I have 2 newborn babies again that I'm trying to wake them up at 9 o'clock in the morning saying, come on, you guys, let's go. Oh. But there's just not any activity. So, you know, we've been watching a lot of TV and, you know, we've watched Tiger King twice. So it's pretty bad in the turn.
Oh my goodness.
All right. All right, Wendy. Do you believe Carol killed her husband?
You know what? So the first time I watched it,
sardine oil.
I'm telling you, I don't know.
Hey, no spoilers. No spoilers. Wait a second.
Right. I'm only on episode 2.
Come on now. Wait a second.
The second time I watched it, you guys have to watch it again. I'm telling you, watch it a second time, because then you'll be like, oh, well, that's kind of weird that she would say something like that. So it's just been now we're just finding the little nuancy, you know, clues that maybe she didn't. Maybe he actually went to Costa Rica and, you know, he had all of this money that he was hoarding and that he was hiding, and I just don't know. I mean, in the beginning, I thought, yes, for sure, that bitch is crazy. But now I don't know.
Methamphetamine and tigers don't mix. That's what the show is.
And it was in Florida? Really?
No, it was in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
It was also, she was in Florida.
She was in Florida, right?
She was in Florida, yeah. And then the other guy is in South Carolina. The Doc Antle guy or whatever.
Right. I recognize that guy from like the Tonight Show, like going on like late night TV with animals when I was like a kid. I was like, was that the same guy? That show is so crazy that it's what could be better for a family to do during quarantine than just watch the Tiger King.
Well, watch
I
Millions.
have no idea. If you can give me some suggestions to watch more things, we're open for it, because we have absolutely nothing to do.
Watch McMillions. It's a story of how people ripped off McDonald's for the Monopoly game. FBI, everything fascinating.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that Tommy wants to watch was McMillions. So yeah, we have that on our list, I think, for tonight, actually.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you one thing about all of this quarantining. If what we're doing in life is I just want to try and create a reality where I can spend as much time with my family and my friends, right? Like that's what you want to do, but you inevitably end up working to try and earn that time, and that working actually takes that time away from you that you get to. This quarantine's been amazing for spending time with my family. I also have a teenage son who's staying up till 5 and 6 in the morning playing video games and then sleeping all through the day and waking up around like 5 or 6 p.m. But I also have a little guy, so I've just been hanging out with him a ton and just having fun and going for walks with the family, and it's been pretty nice.
It is nice. We homeschooled our children, and then Colton came down with Crohn's disease. So quarantine is not that hard for us. We do know how to occupy our time pretty well, but all my friends' kids that go to public school are having a really hard time with all of this because they want to see their friends. They're more social. you know, we as a immune compromised family, we already have N95 masks because Colton doesn't go anywhere without one.
Well, I get it. I mean, we're the same way as back in the day as law-breaking citizens who grew stinky herbs. We just quarantined ourselves like you wouldn't believe.
That's what I was going to say. I was a grower for years, so I've been quarantined for so long. This is like, woo!
Yeah, this is a
I'm
time
happy to be quarantined right now. Plants are looking fantastic.
We've been
Yeah, it's great.
for years.
There's a good movie called The Cure for All Cancers. It's a YouTube video
Is that
where
Hulda
they talk
Clark?
about a lot of the different. No, well, no, she's not in there.
Really? Because that's the author. That's the name of her book.
Wait.
She has a book called The Cure for All Cancers and a book called The Cure for All Diseases. She's a doctor from Saskatchewan, Hulda Clark.
The Forbidden Cures. Forbidden Cures is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Forbidden Cures, yeah. The Cure for All Cancers is really important. Actually, we feel Hulda Clark because she talks about isopropyl alcohol. And isopropyl alcohol is one of the things that's one of the most detrimental things to our immune system that a lot of people may even use on the daily. And, you know, using ethanol is 1,000 million times better. Maybe you can talk about what isopropyl does to the liver.
Yeah, it just harms the liver and makes way for different kind of flukes and parasitical infestation because, you know, our body is a microbiome. So that really puts it off balance. So anytime you smell that smell of isopropyl alcohol, you know, those are small particles that go into your lungs.
Yeah, what Hulda says in the book is that there's all different sorts of solvents that are in like all these different hand washes and just so many different products. And once they saturate a particular organ and create this just perfect situation, then these parasitic fluke worms move in, and it's a pretty crazy book. And she's kind of got like she creates this little zapper thing that she patented and gave away for free. And it's just, you can hone in on sending these frequencies through your bodies to see if you have these parasites. And when you find them, you can zap them. Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
That's crazy. I need something like that to zap all the craziness that happens here in the Turner household. But I mean, we're pretty safe, so.
Well, this is a time where you introverts need to reach out to your extrovert friends because they're not doing very well right now.
They're not, and we're having a really hard time with that in our community. I don't know how many times I've told people just to stay home, and they don't understand what they're doing. You know, we own a gym, a gymnastics facility, which is probably not going to. We're not going to survive this situation because we had to close. And closing means that we don't have any income coming in. So how are we going to pay our mortgage? So hopefully we get a deferment and all that stuff and it goes okay. But we have to drive past the gym to go to come back and forth from our house. And we have to pass Walmart. And our Walmart is packed full of people. And I'm like, why are you people not staying home? We have a town of 6,000 people. This should not be that hard. You know, I don't understand it. And the county next to ours, we don't have any cases so far that we know of, which is also a controversy, in our county. But the county beside us does. And we're only maybe 15 minutes away from each other, and the big cities are. And people come back and forth to that big city to go to Target, to go to Lowe's, to go places. And nobody seems to care. And, you know, I hear stories on Facebook saying, oh, my kid went over to this person's house and they spent the evening over there. And then they went this person's house the next day. And I'm like, why are you guys not taking this seriously? Because if I have to get Colton out to go to the doctor, then he's more susceptible to get any of this. And I just don't think that people understand how serious it could have gotten if we didn't do this, if we didn't isolate.
Right. Well, it's a hard one because it gets into belief systems. And it's like, first of all, like, I'm not generally one to listen to my government. I get a little bit nervous about that. At the same time, the Dr. Henry, the lady who's been talking for British Columbia at least, seems to be somewhat of a voice of reason. I've read so many conspiracy books and gone down so deep down that rabbit hole. And now I've lived my life for the last 20 years, raising kids and having a family and being more of a Joe Strady. So I have both perspectives, but I like to sit on the fence more than I like to sit over here in conspiracy land or over here in Joe Strady land. I like to have both those perspectives, but what I see is very few people sit on the fence. Most people are on one side or the other. And while you're telling people, hey, listen, I have a compromised son, his immune system's compromised, can you just, and then there's other people going, oh, actually, I know exactly what this virus is. It was all man-made. It's population control. It connects to the 5G towers. It's all part of the chemtrails and the flat earth. And how the hell are you going to have a conversation with someone that is in that belief system without the perspective of at least like, well, look, like there's other perspectives to take into account. I mean, and I'm not discounting either versions of people's belief systems. I like to sit on the fence. I like to acknowledge all the belief systems.
I agree. And, we tend to be a little bit more safe than most people because of Colton, and we live it every day. But Tommy had to go to Walmart because we didn't get toilet paper. We're not those kinds of people. And we know that immune systems are compromised, but yet they need to get out there in the germs. God made dirt won't hurt, if that's if you were a religious person. And it's just crazy, I see it both ways, but I wish that people would listen to, instead of listening to our government officials, I wish people would listen to the local hospitals, because I have two sister-in-laws that are in nursing, and one sister-in-law is finally getting to work from home, and the other sister-in-law is on the front lines. So she sees COVID patients every single day, and she said, Wendy, stay home. You don't understand what's going on. People don't understand what's going on unless they're in a hospital setting and they're a nurse, or a doctor. And, we've already had one case of a doctor in the St. Louis area get sick with this, and they don't think he's going to make it. So if we can't be a little bit overly cautious for a little while, we're not going to have any doctors and nurses left to take care of us.
It's true. I mean, it's pretty easy to listen to the healthcare practitioners, the frontliners, the people that are dealing with it. I feel that we've been doing pretty good on the West Coast here for a while. It was kind of people weren't really listening, but most people were. There was still a small percentage of people that were kind of out and about. But for the most part, it seems like we've been flattening our curve and sort of, slowing this down a little bit it's not like they're asking me to, do something like, oh, here's a mandatory vaccine I want everyone to inject into themselves and their children. That would throw me for a loop. I'm not going to lie. I might fall over a little bit more on the conspiracy side if that were to happen. But I'm definitely down with okay, stay in your house for a couple of weeks. Like what? You can't even a month? Like, are you kidding me? Like, no problem. If that's the least I can do, I'm going to do that.
And if we don't do that, we're going to get a mandatory vaccine.
Well, this is also, my sister's an actual nurse in Mississippi. They actually restarted the state of Mississippi. They told them all go back to work. This is all, we're not China. And she works with the elderly. She's fucking upset. She's freaking out. She's like, my people are going to die. And New Orleans got overrun because of Mardi Gras. And it's just right next door. They've got cases in Alabama, and just north of her, Mississippi's just being not smart.
This is just touching the U.S. You guys it's going to be, I'm listening to the news every morning, and it's getting worse and worse.
Well, my buddy Jan, who's in Brooklyn, he's in New York right now. He says, New York City's listening. He says, Times Square is empty right now.
Yeah, I have one of my husband's best friends lives in New York City, downtown, and he's like, it's bad here. everybody is listening, but so many people are still getting sick. So it, I guess the best thing to take from all of this is to listen to our healthcare professionals and do what we're supposed to do so we don't make it any worse.
Yeah. Or just do the opposite of what Trump says.
Amen. Oh my gosh. He's been crazy. He's almost as good as the Tiger King.
Question. Last week, I know we discussed somewhat cannabis, THC and CBD, and how it might help with be protective of cells and help us from getting sick or help us recover. Anybody have any thoughts? Anything happened since last week on that? I did a lot of reading. There is a lot of research that shows that CBD does protect cells. I watched that YouTube video. I wasn't sure if it was just some CBD marketing.
Yeah, no, that guy, the guy from Israel, you mean?
Yeah.
Dude from Israel, that proves he's full of shit.
Oh,
so if you watch that entire video, he talks about CBD binding to CB2 receptor, which is terribly misinformed, and he really doesn't present any data to substantiate his cause. He kind of gives a background on how the endocannabinoid system works, but doesn't make there's no clinical data or no evidence there. So I call bullshit on that guy. I don't think there's any conclusion there at all. And in fact, the IACM
Is he frozen?
on LinkedIn.
Frozen.
Yeah, they put
say that again,
out on
Josh.
LinkedIn to just clear things up, saying that, yes, while it is true that, your immune system is involved in fighting this virus, there is no clinical data to support that cannabis use or cannabinoids are effective at fighting COVID-19. And in fact, I guess the recommendation, again, is, we talked a little bit about this, is just the whole social nature of cannabis, right? The whole passing the rig or passing the bong, passing the joint. We got to stop doing that. It's got to be your personal rig or your personal vape pen or whatever. But I guess the other thing is that there are a couple reports in the literature that show like cannabinoids, CBD in particular, having activity on viral hepatitis. So there are some viruses. They looked at this for HIV a long time ago. Viruses are a completely different beast. It's not like a bug, just a bundle of DNA inside a wax coat that slips into your cell. It's a very difficult thing to come up with a compound that basically works as a prophylactic antiviral. I think this cocktail that Trump had talked about, the aquarium cleaner, the hydroxychloroquine or whatever it is, that stuff can be really, really toxic. So, there are no magic bullets for viruses, unfortunately. There are some antiviral compounds, but I don't think that there's anything that shows activity against this virus per se.
So we know it's a neuroprotectant, but that's it. We have no idea if it's actually a neuroprotectant against this particular virus.
Yeah, and what Ethan Russo said at the session that Kelly and Josh hosted, or that Mark hosted, forget it. Anyway, that one session that Ethan talked at, again, I think this was sort of addressed, that a heightening of the immune system by keeping your endocannabinoid system fully nourished is certainly a better thing than not. So certainly, like, everything that you need, I guess, to control whatever condition that you have is enough to basically keep your immune system to its peak performance. I don't know if that is effective at controlling the virus. Like, if you're exposed to virus, does that mean you could still come down with it? I think so. I think that there is no magic bullet, and cannabis or cannabinoids are certainly not that.
I agree with you, Mark, about the Israeli research. It's just a bunch of bull flap up.
Yeah, it looked exciting at first because before I had watched the video, I kept on getting interrupted by, man, if this is really true, we need to, this needs to be replicated. And I mean, that's just it. You can't make a claim, especially on a current health situation like this, without expecting other people to reproducing that claim. So it's absolutely just, stupid and shitty science to go out there and say that COVID-19 can be controlled from consuming. He just said cannabis indica, and I have no idea why it was cannabis indica, but
it's because cannabis indica has no THC, according to him.
I emailed that guy to try and clarify what on earth he was talking about, and his response was just as nutty. He didn't answer the question at all. I challenged him on that idea that, what are you talking about? Cannabis indica is CBD. It's not. That's not even true. And his response back was something really nonsensical. It was, oh, I really like that guy Rick Simpson and his oil, and that's what I followed.
Yeah.
That information. I was like, all right, that's kooky.
So I think the way that cannabis can certainly help you if you are struck with a virus is it'll help you sleep, it'll help you eat, it'll help you, again, get back to homeostasis, which has only got to help your body's immune system kick the virus. The video that I saw, and it seemed like it was very well informed and very well referenced, was that 80% of the cases of the virus are well, I guess there's no mild case, but cases that aren't severe, cases that don't get deadly. So most people, and I'm convinced, my father-in-law got really sick before the holidays, before Christmas time, and he was actually in the hospital for a while, and they just said, oh, it's pneumonia, or oh, it's influenza. I don't know. I mean, the reason why it's COVID-19 is because it's from 2019. This was like from the year 2019. So who knows, again, viruses are just a complete weird thing. They're difficult to predict. They're difficult to really come up with a therapy against because they're just bundles of nucleic acids and they could mutate. And because they could easily mutate, it's kind of like the Borg on Star Trek Next Generation. It was difficult to kill them because they kept on mutating to kind of not be or be ineffective against the phasers that they were trying to knock them out with. But one last thing just on the virus, and I thought that this was interesting, which is that, again, if you're inhaling stuff into your lungs, so if you're smoking or if you're vaping, I mean, you're bringing a lot of stuff into your lungs. So you should make sure that your rigs are clean. Make sure that to the best degree of what you're smoking. You have to think that if somebody has the virus and they cough on like cannabis, it's like, they're on the cannabis and then someone's going to smoke that cannabis. Well, when you smoke it, I don't know if handling it or just dealing with it can essentially pass the virus. But, be careful of everything that you draw deep into your lungs. Your lungs are basically where this disease is going to kill you. It kills you from something called ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome.
Nothing a surgeon can do.
What's that?
And
there's nothing a surgeon can do.
No. I guess that's one of the reasons why they need ventilators, is because you're just trying to push oxygen into the bloodstream. These people are basically dying because they're not getting enough oxygen into their blood.
Well, also people are dying because they're not able to get ventilators quick enough because their body is unable, for the amount of time that it takes for their body to be able to form the antibodies against it. So that's really important. One thing that you keep mentioning, Mark, is, viruses are a big bundle of different DNA. Who knows? There's still a lot of studies that need to be done on viruses and viral loads inside of human beings. But I'm noticing on the chat, people are talking about vaccines. And one thing that I wanted to mention here is that, COVID-19. It's called 19, like you said, because of 2019. This virus has already mutated 7 times. So this is the 7th mutation that this COVID has actually had. Is it going to continue mutating? Absolutely. The thing about when you get a vaccine, you're getting a vaccine for that particular model of virus, just for the COVID-19. When it mutates, when you get the vaccine, it's called a passive immunity, which means that you are only vaccinated for that one particular varietal. When it mutates, then it has an inability to, protect you from that mutation. So, vaccines are just not 100% about what people think. If you get, the virus, which we're still learning about, particularly with COVID-19, is that your body forms what's called an active immunity. And we'll have an active immunity, like say, a passive immunity is with a measles vaccine. But if you actually get measles, it's a passive immunity, which means, or active immunity, which means that no matter how many times that virus mutates, your body still has an immunity to it. Vaccines are not just like this golden pill for everything, and they haven't really figured it out yet. So I really encourage people to do a lot of research on vaccines. It's been a lot of my adult life in learning about vaccines, and especially vaccines that are given to children, just because of my work in pediatric care. So I really encourage people to understand the difference between an active and passive immunity.
And also find out what else is being in the vaccine itself, the carrier. That's also in the vaccine. There's lots of other things that are in the vaccines that you don't know about. And so,
like monkey Bue serum 40.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
You know what, it brings up a question that is so unique that we've never dealt with before, but how do we clean the rigs? I'm sitting here with a dab bar. We don't know how to clean the rigs. I know it has to be cleaned with a cleaner and then sterilized. Sterilizing I can get. I can get a dishwasher that I could put them in that would sterilize it. But what soap do we use? We have to come up with this as a community, because who knows? Anybody know?
I mean, I use, I know Sam's been using Dr. Bronner's forever. I use Grunge Off because it's reusable.
Is it good enough? Is that good? People feel that that's good. We do an alcohol wash first, but from what I know, that doesn't clean it. That just
I don't think soap gets rid of the virus. It washes it off.
No, I think that's what the dishwasher would do. Don't you? Wouldn't that think that's like a commercial dishwasher? It gets really hot.
Would kill it.
But we don't have to put any soap in the dishwasher. We just run it through water.
No, you need a detergent in there.
What detergent can we use and inhale?
You want a detergent in there.
Well, Grunge Off is like a detergent. It's like some enzyme from a soybean or something. It's very soapy.
You've also got Bonner's is biodegradable and it's safe in water, and so
same with
that's why I use it.
Alkanox is also used in laboratories. It's also used by people to get their water stains off their motherships, and they complain about that regular tap water can leave water stains. And I know that laboratories use Alkanox. It's a little more expensive because it's a laboratory cleaning agent, but I know that sterilizes things, correct, Doc?
It's just a cleaner. It's just a detergent. It's not really, it's high-priced detergent. I think you do need to have a certain temperature too to definitely.
Do you think you need an autoclave above like a commercial dishwasher?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if you really need that. I think for Debbie's, so there's two things. There's cleaning your rig to remove the reclaim. That's one thing. Then there's cleaning it in between use. I take it that's what you mean, right, Debbie?
Yeah, in between each use, we have to get rid of all the gunk that might accumulate from just smoking out of it. So that's why we do the alcohol wash. And then, what detergent do we use and how do we sanitize it? That's what I'm curious about.
I think you can do a regular heat sanitizer, turn your dishwasher up high. There's a modulator or something on the back of your dishwasher. I know for us, and when we have to get licensing for our kitchen, you have to turn your dishwasher up super high. And the standards for Department of Ags and states say that that temperature with a regular dishwasher is enough to sanitize. In fact, we just got paperwork back from the Oregon Department of Ag, and they just gave us that same recommendation for the licensing of our kitchen. So everything has to go into the dishwasher on sterilization temperature.
Fisher Scientific makes some stuff that, you know, like Deacon, Contrad. It's a liquid detergent that goes into, you know, your dishwasher that cleans all of your beakers and stuff. But, you know, I don't know how effective that really is on viruses.
What was the cleaning?
Often what they have is they have a wetting agent. And so what it does is it's a surface tension thing on whether or not it actually leaves the droplets of water on your glass. And if there's droplets of water left on the glass, if it goes through the drying cycle in the washing machine or in the dishwasher, that's what leaves the little calcinated spots. So they have a basically something that basically fucks with the surface tension, just a wetting agent that basically just makes sure that you don't leave any drops on it before it goes into the drying cycle. But I just wanted to say one thing. So there was some discussion about whether or not I know alcohol is really, like toilet paper, one of those things that people just went and just bought it all. Like, I haven't seen a bottle of alcohol at a store since this whole thing has began. I'm not talking about the alcohol you drink. I'm talking about rubbing alcohol. So we typically use 91% to clean the inside of the rig, or, you know, dab tools, but there was a discussion on the web on whether or not 70% was better than 91%. And so I looked into this on whether or not someone actually measured the difference between 91 and 70%. And I couldn't find it. But what I found is that you have to have above 50% alcohol in that product in order for it to kill. So amazingly, when I go to Walmart, you could still find they have a 50% isopropyl alcohol with wintergreen flavoring. So are people gargling with this stuff, for Christ's sakes? Why would they put wintergreen flavor? And it's green too. So, you know, and I don't think
I think it's just the smell. I think it's just the smell. And I've read the same thing where 70 is more effective because of the water content, where it doesn't evaporate as fast. So it's able to,
in that, Collin,
you know, surround the membrane and actually break through the membrane a bit more.
There's just simply no data to support that. I mean,
you're right.
I understand.
Are you talking about cleaning resin with alcohol?
No, he's talking about whether or not it's
I'm talking about if it's more effective.
Side.
Oh, right.
Correct.
Yeah, to kill bacteria.
Which has been a big debate.
I totally buy into this water having an additional mechanism to help to kill, but I don't think there's a difference between 91%, which has got 9% water, and the 30% water, which would be in 70%. So I think that, you know, this is a great discussion for the people who sell diluted alcohol products, because they want to, you know, just sell more of that stuff. But man, that's like one of the things. It's really interesting. When I go to the grocery store now, I look to see where the empty shelves are. And it's interesting to see what people bought, what people hoarded out. So for some reason, there are no baked beans. There are no black beans. It must be the protein density of the bean. And people are like, oh shit, the fucking shit's going down. I'm gonna buy. Now I wonder.
They're the magical fruits.
If the purchase of the beans correlates with the purchase of the toilet paper.
I think they must have a correlation. They're definitely connected.
Buy the beans.
They're bookends.
But Debbie, just to go toward that, I mean, I used to use something when I was a dishwasher back in college, which was they have a steam sterilizer, which is basically it kind of shifts up. You slide a tray in, you close it, boom. You hit it with the sterilization. It steams everything.
Right, those big things, the Hobarts or whatever those things are.
Yeah, I mean they make them small. I mean they're like 24 by 24, but I mean that's what I would think would probably be the easiest thing to get, because I don't recommend putting like your mothership in a dishwasher. You know.
And your surgeons use autoclaves for their surgical equipment.
Yeah, I used to, when I did tattoo needles before I got involved in cannabis, I had an autoclave because of the AIDS virus. They had to use new needles at the tattoo parlor. So I made good money just doing tattoo needles and putting them in an autoclave and then sealing them and then selling them directly to tattoo parlors.
They have a giant autoclave up in Pemberton at Whistler Medical in the hash making room that Whistler Technologies helped design. And the autoclave is basically for all of the hoses and components, impeller and whatnot from the extractor to go into the autoclave and just know. And the thing's like the size of a Beetle car, right? Like a VW Beetle. It's this huge autoclave.
And you know, when we set up our clinics, you know, we've set up clinics all over the world. And when we set up clinics and right before it opens up, you know, the WHO or the UN will come in, you know, with their top officials and have a conversation with us about cleaning and sterilization and pathogens. And really the power of hot water and soap is unbelievable. It truly is. And that's really why people are talking about washing your hands. So although we're going down lots of different roads about, you know, alcohols and different solvents that will break the protein and all of that, hot water and soap is pretty amazing. And we know that, you know, a good soap can even kill the HIV virus if it's washed, you know, over and over again, as well as with this COVID. So for on a personal use and people cleaning their rigs, just hot water and Dr. Bronner's is a great way to do it. And I know, Debbie, you're talking about something else, multiple use in a dispensary, which is another road, but I'm reading the chats over here and what people can clean their rigs with their own, you know, just at home. It's really great, the power of soap and water.
I haven't seen anybody yet use one, but bars have rotating brush for glasses. And maybe something like that could be designed for a bong with really extra hot water and soap, Dr. Bonners, or whatever. I think it's a good idea.
We don't do a lot of we don't use a whole lot of bongs and things like that in our household, but we do have a lot of medical supplies. So there are times when Colton is on TPN, there's times where he has a port, we have IVs and things like that. And all the doctors, my mom works in the hospital setting as a housekeeper. She's the head of housekeeping. And they tell us everything that we touch, use bleach. And I don't know if that's good for rigs or anything like that, but from what all the medical people tell us is to make sure that you're cleaning with bleach. Of course, on his skin and things like that, we don't use bleach. But when we have to clean his equipment, they tell us to use bleach and then rinse it off really well with hot water, because they don't know if it's they know that bleach kills a whole lot of stuff, and coronavirus is one of those things that bleach kills. But they don't know if a lot of these bacterial cleansers are actually just washing it off with the water and not just killing it. Maybe it's just releasing and then, you know, the water is just making it go down the drain. They don't know, but they do know that bleach actually kills these bacteria and these viruses. So I mean, I'm not an expert. I don't smoke out of a rig or anything like that. So, but the medical experts tell us as a person that has to deal with IVs and all that kind of stuff all the time, bleach and wash it, rinse it really well with water.
And
I don't know about hydrogen peroxide.
On a lot of things, we do use hydrogen peroxide. Like if he got blood on one of his outfits, they say use hydrogen peroxide to get that out, and then wash it with a detergent, you know, just Tide, or just regular soap.
Don't mix the two.
Yeah, well, I mean, after you've rinsed it out and all that stuff, you know, we're trying not to be a science experiment or a volcano or anything like that, but they say that the most simple thing is to just wash everything with soap and water, but to disinfect it and to try to kill some of these viruses, to use bleach. And if there's blood, then hydrogen peroxide. You know, we use hydrogen peroxide on his clothes all the time.
Yeah, speaking of the Dr. Bronner soap, you know, due to quarantine, I actually read the entire bottle from end to end finally.
While sitting on the can.
That's old school, Mark. That's old school. When you read what was available.
Yeah. Hey, Wendy, just so people just don't go crazy. When she says use bleach, make sure people know it's diluted bleach, right? You're not just dumping bleach.
Yeah, use diluted bleach.
Capful, adding it to like a bucket of water, you know, a little bit of bleach goes a long way.
Yeah, don't put it straight on anything at all. Please don't. But you listen, read the directions, you know, read the back of your bottle, finally, you know, while you're using all of your toilet paper that you just hoarded.
There's a great little video of a guy who was like, it was like, my dad counted like how much toilet paper how many shits you would need to take for the amount of toilet paper that people were hoarding. It was a pretty funny little video. It was like 181 shits a day or something for a family of 4 for how much toilet paper people were buying. Don't hoard.
I mean, come on. We're a Crohn's family. We have a kid that goes to the bathroom all the time. I mean, he's constantly pooping. And we did not go out and hoard the toilet paper. We didn't even go buy any when we all this stuff was going down. So I don't understand the toilet paper situation at all. I completely understand like Clorox wipes, the Lysol sprays, and the bleaches and things like that. I get that, you know, keep your family clean and healthy, but toilet paper?
It's just a fear and scarcity vibe. It's a fear and scarcity thing. That's what people are falling into.
If anybody needs paper, I just happen to have 10,000 rolls of it, and it's on sale for $9.99 each roll.
My God, people are doing that all day long, except now they're getting called out on it. And like you know, Canada definitely isn't allowing it. I know Amazon was closing people's accounts that were selling hand sanitizer for like $80 a bottle.
But hey, like if we had hemp paper towels and hemp toilet paper, look at how much nobody would be doing this. Nobody would be hoarding because it's a renewable substance. So we really need to fight for this hemp situation and making sure that hemp textiles are real, true thing and that people can access that, because I would much rather have hemp toilet paper and paper towels and paper and things like that than have all this cotton stuff that we're dealing with, you know.
Wendy, we need to fight for that infrastructure. It's not just fighting for hemp. There's no infrastructure to make that hemp paper. There's no infrastructure to make that paper in any way, shape, or form right now.
Exactly.
And it's got lots of hemp toilet paper.
Sad. We need to fight for the infrastructure. We have one of the situations that we have here in Illinois is we're in the middle of corn country. So we grow a lot of corn. We have a lot of Monsanto around here. But a lot of the farmers from the ag department have come to me and asked me about this hemp situation, this hemp bill that we have here in Illinois, which is a pretty good bill. But the thing is that if you test hot, then they destroy everything. So, you know, I don't know what to do. And my only suggestion was to ask some of our representatives if we can get some kind of reclamation bill, that if these guys, they end up testing hot, can we send it to a textile? Because everybody's just, oh, you know, it's the CBD craze. Oh, let's, you know, grow hemp for CBD and blah, blah, blah. And which is great and all, but we need other things too. So when they test hot, what do we do with this? They destroy it. And can't we reclaim it somehow? You know, isn't there a way?
I mean, you could definitely extract the resin and remediate the THC right out of it and let them destroy that, and then just be like, here's, you know, like, and the thing that Etienne was mentioning is all the stock in the world isn't going to create the infrastructure and the technology. And there are people working on fiberizing hemp. I know Martin Moravchik from Manitoba Harvest, my old partner in the hemp industry. He spent the last like 3 straight years trying to crack economic viability on hemp fiber production in Canada. And every day he's getting closer, and for all I know, he might even already be there. I also met a gentleman from Saskatchewan at a couple of the hemp conferences in Canada here, and his dad had invented some technology to measure fibers in trees. And he, this was in the 70s, and he was very successful from it. And now they're working on a hemp fiber project as well. I know Ben Dronkers has had things going for some time, but it's still very small in the sense that like the infrastructure might be in the billions of dollars. Like it's not hundreds of millions of dollars, if you can imagine. It's like billions of dollars of infrastructure, because when the cotton ginny was invented, which is kind of right when the hemp decorticator was buried, that really set the stage for the problems that we're dealing with now. And that was in like, I think the 30s. Does that sound about right? Or
that's true, but at the
I think you're right, Marcus.
Well, the cotton gin was 1860.
Was it that early? So when was the decorticator? Early 1900s or 1800s as well?
Are you talking about the mechanical or hand decorticator?
Correct. Well, the mechanical, the actual machine was 19 something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
think even in the 30s.
The core of the problem, Wendy, goes back to why it tested hot, and it's always been the problem since '95 when they decided to go with the French EU seed, that 0.3%. We knew back then that regular can cross-pollinate that and raise that THC level. So this goes to the heart of the original problem.
Well, but another problem is that it takes serious infrastructure if you want to make paper pulp or textiles out of hemp. This is not something for amateurs, because there's a really big world with a lot of vested interests in, tree paper pulp.
Yeah, look at the people who provide toilet paper today. That's the Koch brothers, Kimberly Clark, Louisiana Pacific, Georgia Pacific, huge multinational paper and timber holding corporations that basically have a value proposition of turning trees into wood and toilet paper.
1918, Mike says the first commercial built decorticator went live.
1918.
Prototype was 1905.
Wow.
I love that Mike's just sitting on that information.
But the reality is back then we were much more of an agrarian society, so the factories and the mills were kind of centrally located to where the farms are. Those were dismantled and shipped away decades ago. And that type of steel and metal was why we knew back in the 90s we had to continue to deal what we were dealing with in Eastern Europe, in Hungary and Romania and the Czech Republic, because they had mills and machinery that was still around from back then that could actually crush and make the fiber that we wanted, as well as make the paper that we're able to, and then make it into a fine thread that we could actually weave fabric from it. And trust me, there was no way anyone would be able to afford to now build or make the steel from that type of machinery in the United States. It doesn't exist anymore. And when Bill Conde back in the early 90s started to make hemp press board, I got to go up when we did one of the Cannabis Action Network tours, and we went to their mill factory there. And previously, they showed us what they ran the hemp plywood through. They originally, you'll appreciate this, Marcus, they ran that hemp long and strong through that machinery initially, and it literally gummed up and wrapped out that machine so badly they had to get in there with arc welders to actually cut the hemp off the metal. Okay, it really ground. So they had to chop it up. So he had to chop it into 1 to 2 inch pieces just to make it malleable enough to fit into the plywood. But he wasn't able to, and he was a wood miller. He still was never able to get it cheap enough or available in a form that hemp ply, whatever became available. But
no one's cracked it as of yet. I mean, right away in Canada, the seed oil and the seed food became the industry. That's what the industry's been for 25 years, like since the first commercial crop of, I guess, 98 or whatever.
Yeah, there's a group, I just read this last week, a group in Minnesota, or no, Wisconsin, that's where it is. I knew it was somewhere out in the upper Midwest, that's now making a pressed flooring laminate with hemp fiber content.
Kentucky, I think that's Kentucky.
Well, this group was actually, I'm pretty sure these guys were in Wisconsin, because they'd actually received a small business grant, and I forget, I'll find a link and post it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, hemp is an incredibly strong fiber, and if you can put it into engineered composites like hempcrete or other things where you could align the fiber axially to get the strength of
hemp
the
metal,
fiber
dude.
itself.
Right.
There was nothing stronger than hemp metal. That shit was stronger than titanium and lighter than aluminum.
Look at Ben Dronkers. He had to operate at a loss for 20 years at his hemp company, selling most of it as crushed hemp herds to horse farmers for their bedding for their animal beds, because there was no infrastructure until BMW and Mercedes and now Bugatti. He actually uses the hemp into actually the mold. So it is actually the silencer and dampener of sound in the cars now in Europe, because they all have to be made from recyclable and natural materials. So he had to operate, there you go, at a loss for 20 years before he could get a product that was possibly profitable. Who can do that? Who can afford to do that except somebody who sold cannabis seeds as his regular business to sustain that?
Well, and the truth be told, I mean, you bring up a really good point, because the bottom has fallen out of the CBD market. This time last year, kilograms of isolate on the exchanges were going anywhere between 55 to 7,500 kilogram. You can get it below $1,000 a kilogram now out of the West Coast. And so there's a lot of people who invested literally millions of dollars. I know Wendy was just talking about Kentucky. The big operators in Kentucky, Gencana and Atalo, have both filed, I think, for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, again, to protect them from their creditors. Hopefully it'll keep.
Yeah, you got to get out of those states for sure. Shout out to Nick Risden. I mean, he had big problems down in Kentucky this year, and you can't just buy Oregon CBD seeds and grow it in any state in the country. And back in about 2012 or something, we went to Bulgaria and Romania, and it was kind of in the beginning parts of the CBD awareness thing. And we were talking to them about, hey, check out, what CBD's, going on. And they were all about fiber. And so when we were driving through the countryside, we went through Romania, and we got this fabric from Maramureș, which is in Romania, northern state of Romania. And we were looking for hemp and looking for, material around there. And what we found out was we were about 20 years too late for any kind of textiles or any kind of textiles that people were wearing. This was found out of an old barn that they were reclaiming.
And they're claiming it's from the mid 1800s. And this is like still incredibly perfect. It looks like some kind of a flour bag or something. But really, they've lost all of their economy in the hemp. We went there to try to find seeds, and they're doing subsidies.
What we were told was it was after the fall of the Soviet Union, the people stopped getting subsidized to grow hemp. And now they get subsidized to cut hay and make like beautiful hay stacks and stuff in the fields, which you see out of Maramureș and Transylvania. So the government changed, and then now the textiles changed. People, the old world people in the Ukraine and in Romania and Bulgaria used to make clothing out of this, and they even made their own shoes and all their clothing and stuff out of hemp they made, and they would just, have posts in the ground and 2x4s over it, and they would soak the stalks in water for a night or for a week, and then they would beat the stalks over the 2x4, and they would create there's a lot of people making clothing out of nets and there's a lot of people making clothing out of hemp, and it's a really similar way. On a roots level, people make their, clothing and stuff for their.
We have to talk to the way elders, like people who were done farming, to even remember hemp and why they were growing it, because the government just stopped subsidizing them. And when they stopped subsidizing them for hemp and started subsidizing for grass and hay, like the whole culture forgot about hemp, and we couldn't even find seeds.
The few hemp farms that we did find were governmental run, and they were looking at us like, what do you mean getting medicine out of hemp? And nowadays, the way that you look at it, there really should be two classifications of hemp: the cannabinoid hemp and industrial hemp, and they should be grown in different areas because industrial fiber hemp would be male and female, and cannabinoid hemp would be primarily female. And then maybe we could have
the very best hemp in the world is male before it flowers. That produces the finest hemp textiles in the world.
So Thomas Jefferson actually has in his journals actually a discussion where he actually talks about how he harvests approximately half of his fields for fiber pre-pollination. Another quarter of his field he would go through and cull the males out of, and then leave a quarter of of Thomas Jefferson's estate, Monticello, he'd let go to seed, because then he could use that quarter of his estate to replant the following year. So again, what we see over in Europe is a lot of the fiber varietals are harvested pre-pollination. They plant them actually with a closer spacing, so you have less internodal divergence, more apical growth, and that long straight fibers that are packed really close together, harvested earlier pre-pollination, will actually produce some of the most supple fiber. Unfortunately, a lot of that's kind of moved over to Europe. A lot of the clothes I've been sourcing have to either be either grown in Europe or Asia. Although that is coming back. I actually was part of the group that replicated what Paul Condi and their group did back in the 80s. We found the fiber lab that was actually a fiber lab at Washington State University, funded by Weyerhaeuser, that were looking at biocomposites. We actually made a couple different hemp biocomposites just to test their strength in building materials. That's something that you can't get government funding for to research at universities. It has to be privately funded. We privately funded it just so we could collect the research to see what the potential uses are, because eventually we're going to have enough acreage to be able to justify retrofitting some of the lumber mills into hemp fiber processing facilities. The issue is with the current size of most of the industrial lumber mills, you need several thousand acres of industrial hemp stems, fiber, within a couple hundred miles. And that's been slowly, as the industry has been ramping up, CBD's kind of been the big focus. And now that there's actually commercial CBD being cultivated in over 30 states and 16 countries, we're starting to see that the CBD isolate compete on a global market scale, but with different grades. A GMP CBD is going to be different than a non-GMP CBD. And now that the farmers are actually focusing on, there's markets allowing smokable CBD. We actually have farms that are focusing on, artisanal craft, non-pollinated, high quality, like Tom is working on, because Farm Tom grows great herb.
There's also Palma Hemp in Ireland.
How much? Can I just ask a quick question? How much hemp is in those composites that you showed right there? Can you show those again? How much hemp? What's the hemp content in those composites?
This is 100. It's about 90% hemp and 10% glue binder.
Yeah, Mike, this is the problem that we had was the cost of diesel running the hemp from the farms to the factory from the factory that made the twine, then from that twine to the factory that actually manufactured the fiber, and then with the finished product, then the diesel cost of getting it actually to a port, because as we knew, Hungary, Romania, and the Czech Republic are landlocked, which means you have to get it to a port. So that's the reality of infrastructure. It needs to be close to the farms, or the actual cost to transport it is outrageous. And that's why we also did 300 to 400 seed per square meter, Mike, so that we're growing very dense, very solid. It's a self-competing canopy, so you've got no breakout of any side stems. It's just straight fiber.
Yeah. So, and you know, what we're going to see is the straighter the fiber, the longer the fiber that you can have, the greater the modulus of flexibility, modulus of rupture, strength of rupture.
Modulus of elasticity.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah. So the longer the fibers that you can get in there, you can actually get boards that begin to grow exponentially. We replicated what was used in the lumber industry because we didn't want to replicate the issues in the 80s. We cut the fibers down to 5/8 length, which is approximately what most of Weyerhaeuser's boards are for fiber boards. Tested it, the boards ended up coming back almost 5 times the strength, and I think it's just under 1/5 of the strength of a steel for a sheet metal steel. Now that's a great thing for building a high-end composite, but it's not something that you can replicate at cost compared to some of the, you know, turning sawdust into a wood.
What's the adhesive they're using? Do you know, Mike?
Excuse me?
What's the adhesive they're using? What's the binder?
The same one that's used in MDF board.
Okay, so just was it the phenol formaldehyde resin or something like that?
Cyanate. Yeah, isocyanate, I believe.
Oh, it's
So
those outcasts are poisonous.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Bill had to use Condi back in the day. They wanted to use conventional, what they're using now conventionally in these mills as an alternative. So great job, Mike.
Yeah, now that said, you know, those glues used in traditional lumber mills are not the most ecologically thing. You know, one of the reasons why hemp has, or cannabis has, such strong fibers is because the high lignin content within the stems. So as the industry evolves, as research evolves, you're going to start people seeing, you know, the development where we actually extract those natural plant glues out of the stem, and then potentially either 3D print the hemp fibers or create some sort of injection molding for the longer fibers, and then re-injecting.
Good luck at making a good glue out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. No, those other glues, yeah, those things are all like, yeah, isocyanates. Those things are nasty. But, you know, hopefully, that's why I asked you the question is how much hemp content is like. The idea is that, you know, the hemp content would be so much that you'd only have to use very, very little amount of the adhesive itself.
Why not just use resin as an adhesive? We'll just slap a bunch of rosin in there, and
it's just not. It doesn't have a.
It's too expensive to use, Mark.
No, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you to grow fields and fields, Sam.
Well, and so what we were looking at was, okay, let's try and create something that's as close to the traditional fiber boards as possible. Now, the way that it's, you know, fiber boards aren't the most structural composites, unlike some of the other, you know, industrial I-beams. You could, with the longer fibers, you can start making those weight-bearing I-beams. But I think the real future in a lot of these MDF boards is either some sort of, you know, built-in solar panels, built-in electronics, so you can actually make smart boards. But it's gonna, like everybody's kind of mentioned, it's gonna require a ton of acreage, a ton of research that has to be done at a ton of universities. And unfortunately, the majority of those universities don't do cannabis unless if you're paying them to do the cannabis research. So a lot of that technology is going to come from, you know, private industry developing products. And I
just wanted to mention too that I've been to hundreds of hemp mills around the world, processing mills, primary and final product mills. And they were all within 50 miles, way less than 100 miles of the farms. You just can't transport it more than that.
Yeah,
I think
even
it's time for mother lovers. And what's everybody smoking on today? Just wondering.
I know that
What do you got?
Hemp.
Well, that's
Nice.
high THC hemp, I'm sure, right? So I'm going with the Dominion Seed Skunk. The straight up, good old VA don't play Virginia family skunk.
And right here, we've got some really beautiful, I don't know if you can see it. It's sort of weird. We just made some really awesome temple balls. It's really awesome.
We also have some nice sour tangy going on here, which I like a lot right now.
I'm gonna hit some wedding cake from some
cream.
6-star bubble. Oh, bubble creamy. That looks nice.
I have some sour diesel rosin that I made from hash that was made. I have some square wave and lemon cake rosin as well. It's really delicious stuff.
My goodness.
Feeling left out this time around.
My son Jake is now working for Raw Garden out in LA, and these are some of his first diamonds that he's made.
Wow.
Nice.
You must be a proud papa.
Honey banana rosin.
Raw Gardens is doing some nice solventless stuff too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Raw Gardens for their well-rounded.
It's great. They're old school
offering.
too.
What I heard, I got a friend out in Portland, Oregon, and he was telling me that really the bubble rosin has really changed the solventless game out there. Really.
Yep. It's opened a lot of people's eyes to what it could be. Because most people are used to using high heat. They're not used to these low DAB temps. So most people that I, at least personally, that I've given hash to, they just use it in a way that is it's too hot. So they're putting it in the dab rig where they're heating it to 400 times what it should be heated to. So I think rosin that's been ultra refined
Some brilliant stuff.
from
This
hash
is a producer rosin green.
gives it a more a broader scope for people to be able to use it.
We've been getting a lot of better high quality rosin, and I want to thank you guys and all you producers out there. You're definitely getting much better on your squishes. The quality has definitely gotten a hell of a lot better across the board.
I'm hitting on 2 different sublingual tinctures as versus smoking. This one is CBD and THC together in mid-chain triglyceride oil, and this one's high THC. And when I smoke, I'm rocking a little piece of homemade. It's Harley Sue and Gorilla Glue as a nice little blend.
How'd you make it?
From bubble bags.
Oh, snap.
That a really beautiful man gifted me. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Bubble bags are a great gift.
Hey, D, I think it's about time to yell.
Long rip, mother lovers.
Try some of this Babstrom. Give thanks to the Snodgrass from Eugene.
Wade beat you to it, D. You were asleep at the wheel.
Every time I try to talk, 3 more people start talking. That's all. Long rip.
Bryan's got that real nice that whipped bubble. I've been seeing him post. Is that what you're holding up there, Best Friend Farms?
Ooh, it looks like a thick jar too.
That stuff looks great.
Cured batch right here.
Yeah, that stuff looks so good. I love it.
That's a 2-week batch. That's like 2 weeks after curing on the whip.
And that's all air dry, huh?
Yeah, this is all air dried. This is a new batch.
Is that like butter?
It's whipped, fresh frozen bubble hash. So air dried for 2 weeks. This one was 10 days when I whipped it. That's about 3 days after the second whipping. So it's hardened off, kind of sugary on that one.
Looks like butter.
And kind of strain specific on that gas mask. It just turns cream, like the color on it, everything.
Wow. Bet it melts like butter too.
Yeah, this is the sieved portion of the fresh frozen right there.
Wow.
And then I have some bubble nuggets too. This is kind of what it's looking like.
Oh, nice.
Some different forms, so of the same strain.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got cat mouth just looking at that.
That's the rosin off it, fresh frozen gas mask rosin with our new rosin press.
Oh yeah. Man, I can't wait till we get like super high quality cameras as your second camera or even as your web camera and just be like, just let me put it on the macro setting and just have
Brian, you got,
we're working here.
You got me inspired.
I want something you strap on your head and it gives you a virtual reality high. You can smell and taste what the other guy's smoking and feel the effects.
And feel the effect.
I just took out Dominion Skunk, Uptown Funk, and C99 and Jabba Stash, all 90U.
Dude, that's funny. You just reminded me of something, Collin, which I think we should probably watch because it's so ridiculous. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's it's when you said Dominion Skunk, Uptown Funk, and it was Josh and Kelly that were like, "Oh, look at this! It's our friend's son."
You're gonna play the dancing guy in the back.
Oh, I gotta no, not the dancing guy. Just
no, not that one.
No, it's the Terp guy.
That's why we're laughing.
The Terp guy. All right, here we go.
The Terp guy.
Can you guys hear that though? Can you hear? Could you hear when he was talking? Hello?
No.
Okay, I have to undo it. I have to unplug my headphones. No problem. Here we go. I'm gonna turn this on because it's stupid.
Go here.
I'm turning it up so you can hear it.
Most of Skittles, but I taste some kind of guava, tangy, sour banana, tangy, guava dog, diesel, a whole lot of turf shit. So I like turf shit, turf motivation, turf validation, campaign, cut a cane, turf up, keeping that Krispy Kreme, purple in the cush from the purple in the valley. It's like I'm doing the turfs in the club, torch up, hype me down, these kids go crazy for candy out here, I don't speak English, I speak Turpanese. What's your name, bro? Young Turks. It was a turkey day. Psychoactive turkey. Everybody candy, guava jam. Oh, turk way. Like the turk cookies. Oh, we got some right here. Lowies for Kobe. Lowies for Kobe. Terpenines and tanzanites and yellow canvas. We back together. 5 pound runs, 60 mil.
5 pound runs, 60 mil.
Anything about a turk? No.
Dude, that shit.
So when the guy's 60 years old, will he be some real straight Baptist preacher?
Guarantee he will not be.
Yes, for sure. We really know. We've seen that child grow up from before he was born.
When that child turns 60, he will be exactly like that.
Oh my God, dude. When you sent me that, when you were like, this is so-and-so's son, I was just like, I think at that point, Jungle Boys, DNA, a whole crew of people had reposted it. And so
knowing his father and his family, you could also guarantee that we're not going to be having a later Baptist in life.
No chance. Listen, my favorite part was 5 pound runs, 60 mils. Like that's such a total terpene, it was just.
So that's what a clean shaven book looks like
again, so we can see it again.
Yeah, I will. I'll share it. It's my buddy Dredd posted it. I'll share it. Oh, this has been shared to your timeline.
It's our boy Young Turk.
I don't speak English. I speak Turpanese.
I said, so that's what a clean shaven wook looks like, huh?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, there's something new. That's like, forget it. This is what Wooks created him. He's like the next version of like something amazing and awesome again. Like whatever the new incantation is, I will smoke bowls with him one day.
I'd be sharing, what you're saying.
I'd be sharing what I have down in Puerto Rico, but we've ran out. It's Sunday, and so everything's closed on Sunday down here. So what we've been really liking is the Jesus OG from our friends at Kansas City Clinic down there. It's pretty fire, definitely for Puerto Rico.
So you can just go down to a shop and buy some bud.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great.
Isn't that a sub-cool variety of the Jesus OG?
The original Jesus, from what we know, came out of Eugene and Northern California. We used to get the Jesus way back, and it was heavy crystals, heavy flavor, heavy, amazing.
So that's that's a Pacific Northwest cut that's been around for a while.
I've never seen it anywhere else, but at the time, we're talking late 90s or mid 90s, late 90s kind of vibes.
Yeah, right on.
Young Turk family might know about that too.
Terpenese.
Yeah, I have a question. We have this weird law in California. I don't know if people know about. Okay, for adult users, people can buy 1 ounce of cannabis, 8 grams of concentrates. For medical users, you can buy 8 ounces of cannabis or the equivalent amount of extract that comes out of 8 ounces of cannabis. What does that mean? How many grams of extracts can people get? It's so speculative. Anybody know? I mean, is there a range? Etienne, how do you guys
divide it by 5 at least?
Well, 15%. You can spit like a 15%.
Anywhere from a 3 to a 30% yield, depending on the starting material and quality.
Well,
3 to 10.
According to Canada and the Whistler Mountain Company here, they say that 4 grams of extract is equal to 1 gram of resin. So 4 grams of cannabis bud is 1 gram of resin. That's what they say here in Canada.
What?
So 4 to 1.
So 4 to 1. They're saying that I bought 1 gram, and then on the back here it says that
4 grams.
It contains the equivalent of 4 grams of dry cannabis. So they say 1 gram of concentrate is actually 4 grams of dry cannabis.
So they're just expecting 25% yield from all of their flower.
There you go.
That's such a government thing.
Well, so that's just what they did here. So I've been kind of holding. I was like, where did they get that information from? But that's what they posted here for Canada. So maybe that can help you guys out down there.
That's great. Very friendly standard.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's a friendly standard.
Is that
what kind of an extract is that?
It's $180 gram of rosin. Want us to get you
So
one?
it's rosin. Okay, I understand.
But it's from organic flour that was run through a WT300 from Whistler Technologies and freeze dried into, bone dry bubble hash and then pressed into that. And so, yeah, it retailed for like $180.
On the website, it's like $155, but if you go to like a walk-in store, it's $170. So.
And then if
how
you
much
add
is
the tax,
herb? Is the herb 1/4 the price? Or 1/5 the price?
the herb was selling for like $20 a gram, I thought, with tax, almost 22. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's $99 for an 8 for Whistler Mountain. I had bought that too.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that we have these sort of rules and different kinds of regulations out there that just keep pushing our industry to grow the heaviest, producer and of extract, as well as, when they give us numbers with medical, we're all trying to produce, the 5 plants or the 18 plants that have 20 pounds. So I think that it's really interesting. This just keeps pushing us to, get more out of the cannabis plant. And that definitely is a part of her legalization and what's happening with cannabis right now. It's interesting.
In the States, there's industrial hemp where, people can now, they're not limited on their acreage. Some states rec program limit you on your square footage, but some of the industrial hemp, you apply for permits based on acreage. Here in Canada, the micro producer has a limit cap on square footage, but the macro producers don't. So what we're actually seeing is licensed LPs here in Canada are starting to shift from being indoor cultivators to either cultivating in greenhouses or outdoor. Now, I'm of the opinion greenhouses is going to produce a better quality than an outdoor material, but if you're taking it to extract, or in the case of CBD, taking it to an extract and then refining that extract to an isolate, there's a lot to be said about growing regenerative outdoor industrial hemp, and then extract grade outdoor, extract grade in greenhouse, and then having indoor cultivation for either breeding, development, phenohunting, primarily for propagation in nurseries. But you're going to start to see that the big corporate players that hedge all their money on indoor cultivation aren't going to be as efficient as greenhouses or outdoors. So you're going to, and then it's the same thing. If we can grow sustainably at a lower cost to produce than growing with a ton of infrastructure, we're going to start to see that a commodification of making resin more available for extractors, and we'll be able to make better quality extracts that have a lower yield, a higher number of starting grams for each gram of output, but a higher quality as the input. So I think the big rush in the beginning of legalization is just trying to get product available into the market. And once product has to compete for quality and for shelf space, it's going to end up being a numbers game, both, what's the lowest price, what's the best price for the best quality, etc. And eventually you'll, just like with liquor, beer, tobacco, you'll have that spectrum of everything from gas station cigarette grade all the way up to top shelf, hundreds of dollars a bottle grade. But that only really starts with legalization. So we're not limited on our plant counts, right? So.
Yeah, and right now, totally agree with you. What's going on, and when you start running the numbers for a micro license, especially if you're just doing one crop a year, which is really only what's possible here. You can try to do two and do a light up and make it, greenhouse, which I definitely agree is the highest quality medicine that you can get on the market now. But with the numbers and square footage that is being allotted, it's absolutely not feasible. It's economically not feasible at all. It makes way more sense to grow tomatoes or strawberries or blueberries. So, I'm really telling people, until these laws change and until we make some real changes to bring regenerative agriculture into the picture with cannabis farming in Canada, which absolutely needs to happen, I think people just need to be selling a secondary product right now, coming up with a secondary product. What can you start now on your farms until the laws change? Because as they stand right now, you really can't make money in a single run, one harvest season in a micro license
without a viable product on the other end. If you're growing for your own product, that's a lot different, and that's what makes a lot of sense. Also, Rodale has some really beautiful examples of regenerative hemp farming using roller crimpers and cover crops and stuff, and they're on the forefront of really teaching people how to do it in a way that's cost effective, better for the land and the whole thing and stuff. And I mean, Farmer Tom's doing amazing things too as well, and thank you for doing those things. But Rodale's also another source of that. So check out Rodale Institute Regenerative Hemp.
And how wonderful is it going to be when we're able to just have large areas that we can do open pollination, and we really can do the R&D work that we need to do as farmers, as breeders, as extractors, and have a little bit more freedom for us to have finished product all the way to the end. Like any other farmer, you can grow strawberries and have strawberry jam right off of your property, and And one day when cannabis farmers are able to really do that and bring it forward on a federal level, then the real changes are going to be seen, and more soil building and more health and well-being, so that we can stop these pandemics that are worldwide, because our culture and population of humanity is at an all-time low of immunity.
Indeed. I liked talking about hash there for a little bit. That was kind of got the hair on the back of my neck standing up. I was like, oh, are we talking about hash? All right, let's do it. Thank you for that short little bit, guys and gals. I appreciate it.
Nice dab.
Yeah, it's nice to talk.
So it's pretty interesting to see what's going on down here in Puerto Rico. They're just getting started with their medical program, and some of the strains are pretty basic, the ones coming out of the States. But there's a real good local Afghan Kush going around down here that's pretty fire, and it's pretty kept us in good spirits, no doubt about it.
Afghan Kush, hey?
Yes,
So
sir.
does it grow really tall there, stringy, or how does it grow?
I haven't visited the operation yet, but I think I'll be going there next week. So I'll check back in next week and give you guys a lowdown.
Awesome. Love to hear about it.
We pot nerds want to know.
What's the situation on Puerto Rico just in terms of recovery from that horrible hurricane that they had?
Well, it's not as bad as it's been portrayed in the media. You know, everything probably has electricity down here. It doesn't look that beat up. Only certain parts of the country were affected by the recent earthquakes. It's pretty together down here. You know, I'd never been down here, and it's kind of like America. You know, there's Taco Bells and Chuck E. Cheese and Chuck's Chicken and like everything down here. So it's, you know, there's also the USD agriculture down here, you know, FBI, you name it, they're all down here. So, but it's, they've healed up pretty good. There's a lot of good opportunities down here right now. So I'm pretty stoked to be here with, and surrounded with some really intellectual, super smart guys who I'm working with. Thank you, Emil, and thank you, Pedro, for the hospitality.
Awesome. That's great to hear, Tom.
Absolutely. It's nice to hear they're moving things forward and just trucking along. And it sounds like in the next 5+ years, you'll start seeing some really great things come out of there.
Now, are they going to be producing for an export market? I mean, so the idea is to produce and export it elsewhere?
Well, that's kind of why I'm down here right now. I'm working with the hemp farmers. We're coming up with alternative products to match the closeness to the equator, the 12 hours, and then all of the humidity down here is really a battle. So we're just putting our heads together, coming up with creative solutions to help the island recover and get a worldwide product or commodity out there is what we're looking at.
Grow narrow leaf drug cultivars.
There we go.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Seems to be.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's definitely try not to plant too many Afghanis.
Yeah.
Go Hayes.
Go Hayes. Absolutely. One of my favorites, my all-time favorites.
Oh God, mine too. I'm a huge Hayes fan. My wife, Amnesia Hayes, is like it for her, and it's been it for her forever. And man, she wouldn't know what to do without it. It's an amazing medicine for sure, no doubt.
We just called ours the Haze. It was in Winnipeg, thanks to Ron Hickey for having it and accessing it. And it was the first plant that I grew that was over 8 weeks flower. It was 16+ weeks of flower, this Haze, which by all means isn't the 24 and 25s that I've seen since. But this 16 was just really, really nice. It had that just classic Haze look to it. And it was absolutely the most uplifting, energetic. Like if you smoked this at night, it was, you were not going to sleep. Like forget about it. You'd be like Darren after his DMT rosin hit, cleaning your house all night. Oh my God.
Four in a row.
Oh yeah, sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes that's what it takes.
4 in a row.
Oh, there we go. Hayes. Let me just pin your video for a second. Look at that.
Speaking
Hayes.
of the man, the plant, and the legend, Sam?
Yes?
Oh, wow. What do you got there? You got some...
What, Sam, what made you gravitate toward Hayes?
It was the best pot I ever smoked.
Right?
But tell us the first time you ever smoked haze.
Yes, where were you?
That's what I need to know.
Well, I was in Santa Cruz, and I don't remember who actually shared it with me, but I lived very close to what they called the Hayes brothers, that were not brothers, but one of them lived one block on the other side of my farm, and the other one lived one block on the other side of my farm. So yeah, I knew them pretty darn well, and yeah, I might have had a few pots in my life, like maybe the very, very, very best high stick I ever smoked was, it was a different taste and a different high, but it was, yeah, super, super. I mean, it didn't hardly have leaf. It was just really little calyxes covered with resin. And
Uplifting haze.
Hayes was also too.
Yeah, it's my all-time favorite. It's definitely, you don't see enough of it. I kind of felt like back in the day when a lot of this whole activism thing started, it was like, well, how long are you going to go for after the hemp license? Because we were like, oh, we got that hemp license like really fast. Like I thought this was supposed to take decades. Because that kind of threw us for a loop where in a couple of years of just jumping in, all of a sudden we were getting permission from our government. We were like, wait a minute, like this is weird. But then of course, 20 years went by, and then we realized, like for me, not until people can go and gain access to big ass jars of full melt, dry sift, water hashes, whatever you want in the variety that you want it. If that's not available, then there's still work to be done. So there's still work to be done.
And now it's planting.
I do agree that Hayes has hardly any at all problems with fungus or mildew or those kinds of things. That's really problems that are coming much more from places like Afghanistan, where they don't have the resistance to that equatorial varieties have to have, otherwise they wouldn't exist in the jungle.
It's true. There's no doubt about it. I've definitely been in a room where it's like, whoa, why does every one of your plants have webbing on it except that one over there? You guys been like, oh, I don't know. It's just, like as a photographer that's gone into a lot of grows, I've seen some horrific, horrific things. I've managed to keep those things from ever, getting thrown under the bus. I was never trying to expose anyone as a bad grower, but as many things as I saw that were amazing and impressive and great, I saw much more that was like just bug infested, the webbing, the mildews like you wouldn't believe, PM like growing on top of itself, stacking itself like multiple layers high. Just frightening stuff over the years that one day I'll probably do. Go ahead, Sam.
It's not that hard to grow with integrated pest management and prevention rather than trying to deal with it after you have the problem. I've been doing it for more than 40 years, and I guarantee you it can be done even in large greenhouses like an acre under glass. You can control pests. And if you have one or two plants that pests are coming in through the windows or something, you chop it down and destroy it.
Yeah, but people are just they're not like greenhouse grower farmer people. They're just like growing their grows, and they're unaware of so many things. This is also like in the early 90s into the early 2000s. Even today, I'm sure it's happening. I'm sure there are people that are suffering from all of these things that just inevitably happen when you're not a farmer. I can't tell you how many times I went to someone's house, went into their grow, found an unbelievable amount of spider mites, and then went into their house and found the source of the spider mites on a house plant that they had, without even really understanding, like, oh, like, shit, I brought these spider mites into my own grow from my house.
I had a bonsai teacher who told me, you won't get it, kid, until you kill your first 100 trees.
Oh.
And that's what put it into perspective for me.
Jesus. Yeah, it's lots to learn when you start growing this little plant. And
Cut down my whole garden.
I guess it's also the intention. Cannabis is very much affected by your intention, and it's receptive to your intention. And if you just are like, I'm gonna grow a bunch of money and try starting to grow dollar bills on your, it's like, well, it's not the best intention. It's cool if you create a relationship with cannabis where it's paying your mortgage and paying all your bills because of the work you're doing with it. But it's good to go in with a different intention. Like, I want to try and help people. I want to, create medicine. I want to, like, those are good intentions with cannabis that I always saw. I always thought that, those were my intentions. Until it turned into, I want everyone to have access to great hash, which I thought at first would be easy enough to just make bags available. But then it was apparent that no, actually with those bags comes an enormous amount of information that all of you on the panel are sitting on. And thus the birth of Hash Church, sharing this information with people that everyone has little nuggets of, because a lot of people want to create this relationship with this plant where it's their business, that it pays their bills and it helps them put food on their table. I think that's a great thing. Just do it from
Do
goodness.
it because you love the plant, Marcus.
Yeah, do it because you love the plant.
And don't forget to get rid of that bubble water quickly. Don't sit on it for a few days. It will ferment to funk.
Water it into your plants.
Yeah, as I say, put it back in your plants.
I'd like to see some sustainability with just patience. We don't grow. I don't smoke. It's so funny that you guys sit here and you do all your bong hits and all that stuff, and I don't even smoke at all. But one thing that we've always wanted to do was to let Colton grow his own medicine, and that's really, really hard to do, especially when I have a black thumb. I can't grow a houseplant. But everything from planting the seed to taking care of it himself, I think that's really, 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 really important. But yet I don't have the knowledge to do that kind of stuff because we don't understand about what's going on with spider mites or mold or mildew and things like that. I think that one great thing that you all should do, other than Hash Church, is like maybe have a Hash Church that goes through step by step on what to look for and how to do it, and just for the layman person, because I have killed 7 cannabis plants, and I don't trust myself to grow Colson's medicine. But I think that a lot of people should, and I think that he should be able to grow his own medicine. So hopefully one of these days you guys can help me go through this and know what to look for, because just like, a mom like me, I've never done cannabis. I've never been involved in it until Colton got sick. And then, I dove into as much as I possibly could, and I still don't know near the stuff that you guys do. That's why I watch you guys, because I need to know that I need the knowledge. But it's really hard for a regular person to grow cannabis. It's not.
Do you have a backyard?
Yeah, but and we also have to deal with.
Believe me.
Well, we have to deal with the state regulations too, so that's really difficult too, because we have to, especially in the state of Illinois, where everything has to be under lockdown. We can have a police officer walk into our house and actually get to check our plant count and making sure that it's in a locked space and blah blah blah. So we can't freely grow like we'd like to. So it's really difficult, and I hope
tomatoes or something easy. And then when he feels really competent at growing master tomatoes, it'll be easy for him to grow cannabis. Cannabis is easier to grow than the best tomatoes in the world.
Not to mention. Go ahead, Wendy.
The only thing that I get scared of, as just like I said, just a layman, is that I don't know what spider mites look like. I don't know what to look for. I'm terrified to make him a medicine that has stuff in it that I don't see and I can't smell or I don't understand. And that's what's most difficult for me personally.
Yeah,
So
well,
growing a tomato, I can grow a tomato all day long.
You know, there's
books that tell you everything about pest control using natural good guys.
And
Yeah,
I
you can
think
use
Sam knows
beneficial.
because he wrote the book on pest control for hemp.
Well, throw those names out there. What's your titles and tell us what books are the best.
Is he interested in extraction at all, Wendy?
It depends what it is you're trying to do, to be honest. There's a couple of great general marijuana grow books, and the one they're talking about is one called Hemp Diseases and Pests. And yeah, that's a great one, but that's a serious research book also. It's not for the lightweight reader.
That is for sure. They just want to grow some medicine. Go ahead, Wade. Go ahead.
What about some lightweight reading for somebody that's just a novice person that doesn't know what they're doing? Can you give me some suggestions?
American Herbal Pharmacopoeia has a monograph that I believe is under 30 pages for cannabis sativa. The editor for that is Michelle Sexton.
That's out of Scotts Valley.
Wendy, is he interested in extraction at all? Because, you know, if I understand it right, hemp is legal, right? You can legally possess hemp. Anybody can because it's legal, right? This is cannabis that's below 0.3%. You know, is he interested in extraction? I guess that's just a question.
Colton's interested in everything. I mean, he wants to do everything that he can, but what he's most concerned about is in situations like what we're having right now, where there is a pandemic and he can't get out to get his medicine, or dispensaries decide to close because they can't do this, is mostly self-sustainability. And making sure that he's growing his own medicine and can extract his own medicine, which we know how to extract it. But making sure that he knows how to grow it and grow it well so he doesn't get sick from all of the pesticides or the non-pesticides or the spider mites or the powdery mildew and all those types of things. So something that is a really easy thing to read, to take you step by step, that is in layman's terms. So we're not trying to figure out all of these high-tech words and things like that we don't understand, like all you science people do. Something like that would be very beneficial for a person like me, which there's a ton of us out here, you know, that just need the simple things.
Yeah. Here we go. Cannabis
if that makes
Encyclopedia.
sense. Cannabis Encyclopedia.
It does make sense. Oh, I was just going to say to what Mark mentioned is, hasn't Colton always mentioned that he does also use THC with CBD?
Yes, he uses just as much THC as CBD. Right. And he has a product. I mean, we partnered with Mary's to do a product for him, and that's what he uses. But you know, and that's great, and I love it, and I'm super, super proud of it. But there's always that scare that the medicine's going to go away, and what are we going to do? You know, especially in a pandemic situation, or, you know, like when Illinois decided to go rec and all of a sudden his medicine was nowhere to be found. So
he can get that in Illinois right now.
Yeah, we're okay. He can get all the medicine that he needs. But I want to be able to be self-sustainable. You know, I want him to understand what it takes to make his medicine grow, what kind of seeds to use, what kind of pesticides to use, what kind of soil to use,
pesticides,
what to look for.
No need for pesticides. I recommend a jeweler's loop or a 30 times microscope. That type of microscope will help you see on the leaves, keys to look above the leaf, below the leaf. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for all kinds of things, and that's just a great tool to have. That jeweler's loop will also help you and him see when those crystals mature and start to get at peak across the entire plant. It's just a little tool, but one that I take into every single garden that I go to because it helps me see things. Looks at the above and below the leaf, look exactly at the brackets, look at the calyxes, look at the structure of the crystals, all that you cannot see with your naked eye, and it's a tool that will help you get there. And Mike was holding up some amazing books, Rob Clark's Ethnobotany, as well as Ed Rosenthal's Medical Growing Guide. There's Mel Frank's books. There's a lot of great growing books. There it is, Marijuana Horticultural. Jorge Savante has good books as well. There's a lot of good books that are out there, and they every gardener can grow differently due to these books. There's not a gardener I know that grows the same way. Every gardener I know grows slightly different, has their own slight little technique. But the reality is, grow, continue to grow. That's your best teacher, is growing. You know.
I agree.
And the more you grow, the more you will know. There's Marijuana Botany by the master himself, you know, Marijuana Grower's Guide right there by Ed Rosenthal. All are good books. I used to sell those out on Hemp Tour back to, 20.
This is Mel Frank.
Because they're just great books. They're great information, and they're consistent. Some are a little more past the layman than others.
Hey,
Some
Marcus.
There's like Ed even made a book called Closet Cultivator to make it a little simpler. But then you get into very extreme, books of, they get very technical. So, but again, the best teacher is just growing, just doing it, just, you learn, you learn how it gets sick, you learn how to make it well again. And that was what my bonsai teacher said. It takes you, 7 years to master each tree, which means it takes you years of growing a genetic to master that genetic. You have to know when it's well, when it's good. And it's going to take you, every gardener will tell you, it's going to take you about 2 years to maximize the room that you're growing in. The worst thing that I've ever seen is somebody who grows something successful the first time and they think they're a master grower. And then their second or third crop, they can't figure out what those problems and situations are. But the reality is take seeds, take clones, just grow. Do what you can. Dragonfly as well as Wade have been working with beautiful horticultural and working with good soil. But I've also learned to work with things, if you have to work in very narrow environments, working with rock wool, so you can work, and this plant is very malleable. You can work in many different ways, but I do recommend, if possible, going the Dragonfly and the Wade way, because there's something about the natural soil that brings out something in Canada.
I lost you.
Yeah, he clipped out there.
We're planning on doing some how-to video, Hash Church Thursday edition. So we did the educational series last week on cannabinoids and herbal medicine and herbalism, and how you can use herbal medicine to build your immune system. And now we're going to start getting into how people can create gardens in their backyard or on a farm. And my suggestion, and the only way to really be self-sufficient and provide your own medicine is to grow it yourself.
And again, Marcus is going to be hosting that on Thursday at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to have a bunch of Pure farmers on there, as well as other educators. And we're just going to keep rolling them out every Thursday evening until, this thing sort of ends. So just having different farmers on there addressing exactly what you're talking about, Wendy. And how is it that we can help people, just really basics, as well as, going off into really depth conversations also. So I love it.
And also, if you can't grow it yourself, like you're saying, you can't, to know these practices anyway is really beneficial. So then you can source from people that do grow that way, and or encourage someone to change over to grow that way. Some people don't grow that way because they may not be exposed to it, or they may not feel they have a market for it or a reason. But if a person like your family with an immunocompromised situation, you really do need the cleanest medicine. The herb would be, you want it to have, you want to build Gaia's immune system, and that's how you do that through conscious gardening. I would also like to suggest this book by Bill Mollison, the original permaculture designer's manual. It's really, really beautiful, and it shows to a diverse polyculture. There's also lots of other beautiful books out there. The Rodale one on building compost. Knowing compost and knowing soil is your best bets.
And because, a lot of us don't have the ability to grow outdoors still in the States and all over the world, we do have licenses to be able to grow indoors and under lockdown, like what Wendy was saying, but we can use our small little plots of land, whether it be a backyard or even some potted plants, to support that cannabis grow that's indoors. You can grow different types of biomass and lovely plants that help your family with medicine, like in teas in your kitchen, as well as medicine and teas for your cannabis plants. So it's really encouraging people to go outdoors and tie the two together.
Bring it to the spiritual realms like biodynamics does and with crystals. So I'd like to just say really quickly, is coming up on Tuesday is the Cancer moon, and plants are water, we are water, microorganisms are made from water, and we know that the moon affects the ocean tides and it can pull water. So what we're saying is on Tuesday, if you plant your plants and you get a beautiful stone or some type of crystal, you could plant your plants on top of the crystal, and then the roots will grow around the crystal and then charge the center of the stalk with the energy. This is tourmaline, and we know that tourmaline is really, really good for electromagnetic protection. And
the young Turk just told us that.
Did he see that? He probably calls it terpeline.
He did.
This is what we have, terpeline. And also, and Wee Moon is a book, is a calendar that a lot of people and women, wise women, use for learning how to plant by the moon.
Also, if people put this underneath the ground on their cannabis plant, then in the fall when we pull up the cannabis plant, we want to compare and get photos out there on Instagram and social media and everything of the cannabis roots and the staff that comes out of it, because it really will wrap all the way around there. So we're encouraging people to try out crystal therapy this year, and let's see if that happens. It'll be awesome and fun.
Are there any more books about that kind of thing? Because I know that a lot of people that follow us would like to know that kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I ask these questions, is because as a layman person, I don't know about crystals. I don't know about how to grow all this stuff. So that's, we want to know the information. We want to know the basics. We want to know cool things that we can do to help, keep ourselves self-sustained. So do you have a book about the crystals?
Biodynamics is probably the thing that talks the most about crystals. So Rudolf Steiner and biodynamic agriculture is going to be one place that you can find a lot about crystal structured water flow forms. There's a way you can structure your water through flow forms and then water your plants with structured water. That's really, really imperative and important.
And that just ties into crystal therapy as well. There's also amazing books out there about crystal healing, and I think it's awesome that if you're looking for a certain intention in that medicine, that you could put the crystal that heals that particular intention underneath it. I just think that encouraging us to try out different things in any way that we can get closer to nature, and that we can learn different things about minerals and the way that they connect, and soil building is awesome. It just gets us more in tune with your medicine. And that's what I keep hearing, Wendy, is that, let's get more in tune with our medicine. You want to make sure that Colton is in tune with what it is that he's using for his body. And I really encourage everybody out there to be in tune with the medicine that we're consuming.
And here's a picture of a crystal in cannabis roots. This is a plant that's grown around the crystal. So just saying.
It made like a basket around it. It's really, really incredible. And that plant was super healthy also.
Loving
smokes.
That's incredible stuff. And I think that that's what people you know, like us who don't grow his medicine, we just get it from the dispensary, that are interested in growing. We need to know that kind of thing. So thank you all so much for all of your information all the time. I mean, most of the time you guys are way over my head, and you know, I want to make sure that Colton is sustained and that he can do this on his own. And if there was any kind of craziness happening in the world again, that he's able to do that kind of thing. So this is why I love Hash Church so much, and why I love you guys. And I appreciate all of your knowledge and all of your experience. And I thank you for sharing it. You don't realize how important your knowledge is to people like us and people that are just out there in the normal non-cannabis world. So thank you all a lot. And last question, where should I find the best seeds? Go.
Any Dragonfly Earth Medicine Pure Farm. Look up DEMPureFarms.com and look for those farms on the website, Pure Farms, and any one of those farms are creating seed in regenerative soil. So I would look for farms that are growing seeds under the sun in living soil, because those are going to have the most medicinal content to them and be the strongest.
Or anyone else that's growing full season, full sun seeds, because then you're going to get a really strong, healthy genetic. And then, you know, going down that whole rabbit hole of what type of genetics work for Colton, that's a whole different other topic of conversation. But getting really healthy, strong seeds is great. And there's a lot of people out there in the industry that are breeding with intention and with a lot of integrity. Best Friend Farm, there he is. He's doing incredible stuff. What do you say about seeds?
I can help with seeds of different forms. I'd love to help Wendy or anyone else and try to match up whatever medicine form or terp profile any of the boxes could try to help check them. And I definitely produce and hope everyone would try to produce organically. I was going to say to Wendy that just the, like I've heard with you guys speaking, that happiness as medicine, and just so much happiness in and healing and growing anything. And it's not just cannabis. So if you and your son together grow something, it's not that people have brown thumbs. They just need to dig a little deeper. It's a human thing for us to grow. And when you even try it simply, you'll have so much amazing results for personal healing. And you'll just learn just by practicing growing anything.
It's really easy to start with corn and tomatoes in your backyard.
Agreed.
And then, yeah, I would also say, look, oh, sorry, Wendy, you're muted there. Let's unmute you so we can hear what you were saying. I saw your lips moving.
Oh, I was just saying, yes, we actually have a 70-acre farm, and we do grow a lot of tomatoes and just other plants. My daughter loves it. She's very in tune with the earth and everything like that. And so it's great. And we love doing this kind of stuff. And I thank you guys so much, because it's just the normal person that needs to know these things. And I'm fortunate because I am involved in the cannabis industry, that I do have the access to people like you. And my neighbor, she just doesn't. So that's why I like to come on here and ask these simple questions, because I think a lot of people need to know what the basics are. And you know, we love doing this kind of stuff, and I know that all of you do too. And just thanks, you know, keep doing it. And
welcome. Happy to help.
I appreciate that. So.
Grow nutrient-dense superfoods and use your food as your baseline for your medicine and your family. Right now, you said you had 70 acres, so, you know, a part of it or a lot of it could be devoted to super intentional foods, you know, and part of the things we're all learning about right now while we're on lockdown is we're trying to lock in on what, you know, and so learning about what what feeds the things that you need in your system is really important. Maybe you need a certain nutrient or a certain mineral. It's really easy. You know, we may feel like we're disconnected you know, in certain parts of the country, but really we're all connected through the internet, and there's a lot of people providing a lot of good information right now. And like I said, it's an opportunity right now. You know, Etienne and people said down in California, it's a little late for planting, but honestly, you can plant successions throughout the whole summer. And, you know, and that's a way to keep good food happening. And in certain parts of northern climates, like at our place, the snow's still melting. So, you know, depending on where you live, you have in a plant. So I would just say, the foods that we have for normal food is really not nutritional. So look for heirloom seeds, look for Baker Creek seeds or strictly medicinals or peace seeds or something that's, you know, people are growing, and look for foods that have color in them. So if you're going to get corn, grow some red corn, you know, grow some purple corn, maybe look for flower corns and different things. It starts to become really, really fun to see how many different varieties of things that you can grow. Anyway, so that's just a bit of excitement about the fact that, you know, the food is probably a little overlooked, and people say food is medicine, but it really is the baseline to all of our health. Nice work, Best Friend Farms.
Oh yeah, well put. That's the truth right there. And that's the beautiful thing about cannabis that I've always loved, how it's sort of created this focus for me that I started looking so deeply at, and then it inevitably leached into how I looked at everything else in life. You know, I suddenly, like when I figured out bubble hash and I started making 73 micron bubble, I was like, well, I want 73 micron food, and I want like 73 micron friends, and I I just understood there was this new setting of the bar, and it really, I want 73 micron everything now.
90 you.
Just read a good study about lactic acid bacteria, Gasseri or Gasseri. I'm not exactly sure.
Gasseri.
Gasseri. It's lactic acid bacteria that's created from sea buckthorn, and they're showing it in Korea to attack the coronavirus and different viruses. So people can look that up, and we're growing sea buckthorn on our property. So, you know, I'm looking at successes of coronavirus right now. We're looking at people that have lived through it and find out what things they allied with on an herbal front. And then I'm growing all that stuff on the property this year. We kind of know, you know, we're into it, you know, it's something we surround ourselves with, but, you know, now is an opportunity to learn about what to grow.
Yeah, that's true. It is a big opportunity right now. Everyone's been sent to their room, and everyone's kind of in a timeout for a little bit. And we're all kind of like, all right. Like, I remember like calming down when I was sent to a timeout. Before I got sent to my timeout, I was all riled up and excited. And now I'm, you know, this is a nice calming down time where people can maybe give the earth a mild break and spend some time in close quarters with one another and isolate from sort of the rest of society for a little bit. It's a breather.
Well, you know, Mark, life is a funny thing because wherever you go, no matter where you go, guess who's still there?
There you are.
Fermented foods helps people stay alive, and miso helped people in Hiroshima and that during that time to stay alive. And it's something that we do talk about in our world, but you know, growing things that we end up fermenting and then we can save it over the winter is really important, because those are things that keep us self-sufficient away from you know, let's say the food store or whatnot. And then those organisms help fight off pathogens in our body and our microbiome over the year.
Kimchi for the win. Long rip. Well, geez, it's afternoon. I was only going to run this till 12 today. Maybe I'll call it a day here. That was a solid 3 hours of Hash Church. episode
Great song.
6, 3.0. I do appreciate everyone for coming in. It was great to see you, Wendy. Thanks for coming and giving us updates on Colton and the family and everything that's going on over there. We always like to hear from you, and we appreciate you giving us that perspective of pulling us back sometimes from our detailed, getting deep into these levels of expertise at things where you can kind of pull us back and be like, hey, like, how about just some basic questions, just some simple things, and we appreciate that. So thank you so much, and say hi to Colton for us and the rest of the fam. Everyone else, all of you, Johnny B and Hemp Guy and D420K taking a rip, Wade Laughter and Bryon at Best Friend Farms. Definitely hook up with Wendy if you can. I think Wendy should hook up with Dragonfly Earth Medicine and Wade as well, offline, and because they're just a monster amount of information for to lead you down the path that you want to head down for producing Colton's medicine. Much thanks to Collin, Vessel Life Sciences, and Mike West, bro. Dr. Mark Scialdone, Etienne Fontan, Debbie Goldsberry was in here earlier, Farmer Tom over in Puerto Rico. Jack, we didn't get to hear from you this week, but we will get to hear from you next week. We'll do another 3-hour batch. And anyone I forgot or that's left that I spaced on, sorry for not saying thank you, but thank you. And thank you for everyone watching. We still got almost 400 people in the room watching, so it seems like people enjoyed the show today. There was a ton of conversation going on in the chat room. We tried to stay up on it. Let's do it again next week. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming and watching, and may the full melt bless your bowl sooner than later. Sooner than later.
Everybody.
Peace
Take
out.
care, everybody.
Thank you.
Peace, man. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Peace.
Be well.
Peace.